When I bet, I like getting something back, even if I lose. That's why I bet with Fanatic Sportsbook. When I bet with them, I earn fan cash, win or lose, and I can flip fan cash into bonus bets or use it for new Knicks apparel at fanatics.com. Download the Fanatic Sportsbook app and let the fan cash flow. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut residents, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts residents, call 800-327-5050. New York residents, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland residents, visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
We're a live one, Johnny. We are a live one, my friend.
I am getting far too old for this shit. And I say that having earlier today, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Jeffrey Weber, my cardiologist here in Brooklyn, who somehow is keeping me alive with a cocktail of heart medication that I kind of wish I had seen him for my biannual checkup tomorrow, because I don't know that the EKG would have showed the same things tomorrow as it did earlier today. And on that note, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by our great friends at Fanatic Sportsbook. DJ Zullo is with me here. DJ, we just watched a basketball game that we're going to talk about now. I want to preface it by saying it is only game one. There is a lot of series left to go, and we will honor the fact that there is a lot of series left to go. But for right now, if you are a Knicks fan that has waited a very long time to be on this sort of stage with this sort of spotlight, this has been 88 games in the making. In some ways, this has been 5 years in the making. In other ways, this has been 2 decades in the making. They arrived on the stage tonight, and somehow, and it might defy some explanation, although I'm really excited to pick your brain about some of the stuff that they did tonight, they came out with a win. And I guess, really, that does matter more than anything else, does it not?
Listen, we wondered openly, and I think rightfully, most Knicks fans, about this team's level of grit, toughness, especially compared to what this team was last year. And I think the Pistons series gave us a glimpse that this team might have a little more fight and wherewithal than we gave them credit for. And it was the Pistons, so maybe we all had a right to be a little skeptical about that. But God damn it, they were down 20 points to the best team in the NBA. And I know you were with me. It seemed like this team was going to let go of that rope. And who can blame us for assuming that would be the case, knowing what we know about how this team has faced and played against the Celtics team during the regular season. But based on, I think, some tactical reasons, which we'll get into, but also just some unwavering grit and determination, they kept at it and they kept shaving off the lead. And they ended up holding the Celtics team in the fourth quarter and overtime to 21 combined points. That's freaking ridiculous. And they deserve so much credit. And they were on fumes with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Mikal Bridges, who we're going to talk a lot about, played 52 minutes in this game and seemed to be getting stronger defensively as the game went on and made the game-winning play on defense. And That was as good a defensive performance over a 10-minute stretch as I've seen any Knick play in a big spot in my life. Credit to Mikal Bridges, credit to a lot of these Knicks, but credit to their fight and their wherewithal, which was under the microscope all year. And I think they've answered the bell. And you're right. There's a lot of games, and there's going to be so many ebbs and flows in this series. But they sent the opening salvo that they're not going anywhere. They didn't have that wherewithal in the regular season, but they have it now. And that's all that matters. And thank God they do.
Not maybe. It's likely at this point. It's a likely conclusion to draw that the 82-game stretch that, again, it sounds crazy to talk about a 51-win season in the way that we have talked about it. We're both logical guys. Benji Ritholtz, very logical, down-to-earth guy. All of us here at Knicks Film School, logical, down-to-earth. We're down the middle. We don't give in to hyperbole. All of us have openly admitted this has been a frustrating regular season, and it has been a frustrating regular season because we've watched this team and we watched them stumble over themselves, not as much due to what other teams were doing to them, but because of what they were doing to themselves and what they could not avoid doing to themselves. And we said, why? How is this not better? I can only draw the conclusion at this point that it was that stretch known as the regular season, that got them to the point where they were capable of playing the final. When were they down 20? I'll look it up right now, and I'm just going to cop to it. I'm like anybody who wants to go clip it, feel free. They were down 20. I said the series is over. I said the series is over because the regular season, even with the win against Detroit, and maybe a little bit because of the win against Detroit, and how they needed to go 6 games, and the way that series could have gone 6 games in the other direction, if you really look at it came down to a couple plays. I said that we will never get a 48-minute game in which this team could just be serious for the entire time. Because you looked at that game in the middle of the third quarter when they were down by 20 points, and you said, yeah, they did some nice things, and yeah, they had some real tactical moves that they made right out of the gate, and yeah, some players were playing well, but my goodness, the Celtics were shooting sub 30% from 3. They were down by 20 despite that. And what conclusion could we draw other than the fact that this team this year just don't got it? And then something happened. And I don't know exactly what that something was. And I'm hoping you have the answer, because I just maybe it's just as simple as you said. Maybe it was just grit. Maybe it's as simple as the team being like, you know what? We're not ready for this to be over yet.
They didn't divert from the plan. And it felt like at 75-55, like there would be a lot of reason for them to say, you know what, we tried this. Keep everything in front. Let's not switch. Let's not overhelp. We're down 20. Let's cats in foul trouble. We tried it. It's not how we play. It's not working. And they just kept with it. And you know what? The Celtics ended up shooting 15 of 60 from 3. 60 threes is an insane amount of threes taken. But if you go back and you watch these, and I obviously haven't had a chance to do that yet, I will.
We will.
The Celtics threes that they took were not their standard 3-point value threes that they normally take when you're in rotation or Porzingis is popping open at the 3-point line, which we saw time and time again against the Knicks during the regular season. And this is how they play against most teams. But the Orlando Magic, to their credit, set the template about not over-helping, to switch everything, to, if you're not suppressing the threes, then make them tougher than their standard usual shot diet. And it was talked about all before this series that the Knicks don't have the personnel to do it. And yes, they don't have Orlando's personnel, but they still asked Karl-Anthony Towns to switch, and it wasn't perfect. And for some of that game,
it changed the game because he drew his third foul, and it changed the game in the first half.
Right. But it took Porzingis out of the game right off the bat. Now Porzingis leaves, and it speaks to like how valuable he is. Like not only him being on the floor, but him generating those clean open threes, like really makes this team go from like great to a super team. So you can, if you look at this template right now, you can go into game 2 and say, we can play the same way, and we can say we're not going to give up those types of threes when we're in heavy rotation and they're just spraying the ball around and we're in the blender. We can prevent that.
So let's get some big ticket items out of the way, and then maybe we'll dig into some of the nitty gritty of how this game ended down the stretch, because it's game 1 of a series between two incredibly well-coached teams, two incredibly well-prepared teams, two veteran teams, two good teams. There's a lot to dig into here. I don't want to try to spend too much time on any one thing. I think the lead story of the game from an X's and O's perspective has to be what you just said, which is that the Knicks came out and essentially switched everything on the majority of possessions. Mm-hmm. And they challenged the Celtics to beat that specific defense. And again, when Towns went out with his third foul, and when then the Hackimich came, and then we went all the way down the slippery slope into whatever is down on that valley, in the bottom of that valley. Oh, wait, I know it's down on the bottom of that valley. It's Preston Chua. And then all of a sudden we were down by 16 at the half. And you could say, all right, that was all a trickle-down effect from the switch everything, because it drew Cat the third foul and the whole thing. And that's why what you said just now is so smart, which is that the Knicks didn't deviate, and they could have deviated. And because they didn't deviate, that defense ended up paying massive dividends down the stretch of this game. The other thing you said, which is the other lead story of this game, and I'm not sure if you heard my preview pod with Fred, but we did our draft of the most important players in the series, and Fred Katz, with the 4th overall pick, took Kristaps Porzingis. And boy, does he look smart right now, because once Kristaps Porzingis went out of the game, it made that strategy, I would say, more tenable. But at the same time, there's so much other stuff we have to talk to. We haven't mentioned OG Anunoby's name yet. 29 points. Hello.
Incredible performance by OG.
Incredible performance. I haven't mentioned Jalen Brunson. I know he missed the shot at the end of regulation, but my God, those threes. We're going to get to all of it. But like, if Porzingis doesn't leave, obviously he puts more stress on you as a three-point shooter. But if you are truly switching everything, then it's really the stress he puts on you as if you have a post that is switched onto him on a post-up.
Right.
And like, look, he may be back for game 2. Honestly, at this point, I kind of hope he comes back. I'm going to regret those words, but like, I would love to get a chance to now beat the team at full health, because I wonder, would that actually change the Knicks' strategy? I don't know that it would. I don't think they're going to go out there and do this. No.
And listen, I know he was under the weather clearly, but he struggled. You know, it was Tatum basically the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possessions. It was Tatum blow by, Tatum 3, Tatum foul on a 3-point attempt, Tatum 3, and a Tatum 2. So Tatum was doing his job against Towns or Mitchell Robinson. Porzingis trying to take advantage in the post or on those dives, he struggled mightily finishing. So we don't know. And he struggled against Orlando as well. So this might not just be randomness against the Knicks. He might be going through it a little bit physically, to the point where it's not going to be a given that you're going to generate a clean, high value shot with Porzingis against Bridges or Hart or Brunson. So I think the strategy will remain the same. It does get a little bit tougher when it's Porzingis versus Horford, but the Knicks just have to live with that, because it's trade-offs. So if it's going to be Porzingis against you in a mismatch, making twos, it's not even in question whether or not you're okay with that versus the alternative Porzingis Tatum threes. So the strategy was very sound. The strategy made sense. And the fact that they didn't utilize this pretty much at all during the regular season, other than in spurts.
Other than here and there. Yeah.
Here and there. But to utilize it and then continue it despite some, mixed reviews, to stick with it, I think you got to give credit to the coach to do it.
Well,
and then to stick with it throughout the entire game. It changed the game and made that Celtics offense mortal. And a lot less than mortal, actually.
It was a lot less than mortal. Let's stick with the switching just for one more second, because the other thing that the switching yielded, this was not all on the switching, maybe not even most on the switching, but the Celtics did get 19 offensive rebounds in this game. And I think early on, you could point to maybe the switching being a culprit for that. In general, I thought the Celtics were just better on the boards. And that's just maybe as simple as like, hey guys, we got to clean that up.
Well, here's the thing. Knicks aren't rebounding well, and they didn't rebound well in the Detroit series. And I think a lot of that is going to be, unfortunately, fall on Cat. He was I think for 80% of the season, one of the best defensive rebounders in the entire sport.
Absolutely.
And he's fallen off a little bit, and he's just got to be better in that area because you're right. It felt like, and we talked about it a bit on playback, where you have to win theoretically on the margins, and defensive rebounding being probably at the top of that list. So to win the game, despite giving up that many offensive rebounds, I think you dodged a bit of a bullet there.
I was convinced when Drew Holiday flew in. And look, Drew Holiday's a Hall of Fame player. He's an NBA champion. He's a gold medalist.
Corner crash. He's been doing that his whole career. It's tough.
Yeah. I was convinced when he got that, he kicked it out to Brown for the three that we were going to lose the game, but we didn't. So thank God for that. So something to look for. Let's talk about the offense. We're bouncing around a lot here. I'm just trying to hit the items as in the order that they should be hit. And we've failed to do that because we're talking for 16 minutes and we haven't talked about OG Anunoby yet. Look, do the numbers look spectacular? 29 points on 20 shots. Like, no, that's not like Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic level efficiency. OG Anunoby took 11 threes tonight, and he made 6 of them. And he went 10 of 20 overall. He had 3 assists, which, again, doesn't sound like a lot. The Knicks' comeback in the third quarter started when OG found Josh Hart for a wide-open corner 3 that Josh Hart sunk. Derek White came back and made another 3. And I believe there was another OG assist somewhere down the line. I thought I wrote the note down, but I may have missed it. He had the big and one in overtime. That was a 40. Let's see if I could do I always forget the exact math. $42.5 million performance. That's the average annual value. It was worth every penny tonight, and then some.
Yeah, and he was not only the shooting. Listen, we talked about before the series. He's been the one guy that you're confident in terms of just getting the 3-point volume up. To take 11 is huge. To obviously to make 6 even bigger. He was also a big factor in the Knicks transition game.
Can I read a note I wrote down? This is a really nuanced note. So I know you're really good at X's and O's. I don't know if your mind can comprehend this. Star, OG took the ball. Did you catch all that?
I got that.
Yeah,
that was the defensive steal. The steal he had late in the fourth.
86-86. Finally tied the game. Yeah,
huge play. And again, one of those defensive possessions where you've talked about it, where it's the Kawhi level ability to just say, "Yeah, this possession's mine."
Yeah,
and I'm going to blow it up, and I'm not going to stop the possession. I'm going to take the possession. That was a clear example of that. He was fantastic, as I was about to say, in transition. The Knicks ended up scoring in the 86th percentile on a points per play in transition. That's a big number for the Knicks, who struggled against the Pistons finishing. That was they got out and ran, but they weren't good in doing so. So to get out and run against they didn't have the frequency. It didn't seem like the volume was high tonight, but they converted when they had the chance. And that you got to have one of those two things: either your super high volume or your super high efficiency. In the perfect world, obviously you're both, but they got some runouts. Josh Hart being a big factor there. I hope we can touch on his performance again, just being everywhere. But Anunoby, the two-way performance, we're just seeing more and more of him being truly one of the elite two-way players in this league that has really shown he has another level, not just within games, as a player within seasons to get to. When you look at him as a two-way player, just a fantastic performance. Love the 3-point volume, obviously the defense, and then the transition, a complete game for OG.
As we transition to talking about Mikal Bridges, I want to, if you're playing at home, this is the drinking game portion of the show. I'm going to read a couple tweets from Zach Lowe. Chalk it up to shooting luck, but there was some of that. But the Knicks wings, especially Anunoby Bridges, were awesome, darting in and out of driving lanes when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown attacked mismatches, then flying back out to shooters. There was a difference between fly-by threes and clean catch and shoot threes. New York's three core wings made the Celtics think, made driving lanes appear cluttered, and flew back to shooters on the catch. And yes, Boston missed a lot, so many that it became a game New York had to have, and they got it.
Yeah, that's so what he's basically talking about, and this is something we've talked about a few times this year, where if you're loaded up in the gap and then you're closing out, it's a one-way closeout. So you're early in help, then you can just one direction close out to the shooter versus late getting into help and then having to reverse course back to a shooter. That's when the technique gets off. That's when you're not settled into your closeout. So credit to Anunoby. I think Hart as well was big in that area too. It was, you couldn't have drawn up, I think, a better defensive scheme from the coach, but it had to have been executed by the players. And it felt like, there was some attrition there offensively, especially Jalen Brunson, who was, again, tasked with a lot of switching, a lot of like wrestle matches with Al Horford, Porzingis when he was in the game. They asked a lot of everyone. And for the most part on the defensive end, the Knicks shined through. Like this was again, I know where the narrative is going to be. Wow, the Celtics just had one of those like bad shooting nights. This is what they do once or twice a series.
Two things could be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can have a bad shooting night, and the team that defends you can actually do a good job defending you.
Listen, I thought it was a great defensive, especially first shot defense. I think if you look at the defense as a whole, you're going to quibble with the offensive rebounds that they allowed. So you have to factor that into the total defensive performance. But on the first shot, the Knicks couldn't have been better. Like they were great, save for some switch issues with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Towns, which we already documented.
Look, the Celtics should absolutely, let me be very clear about this, absolutely be back in their locker room being like, guys, we're fine. We shot 25% from three, right? They shot
15 of 60. Yeah, you do the math.
Yeah, 25% from three tonight. And this game was right there for us to win. We are fine. They should say that. If I was them, I would say that. The reason why I think the Knicks are justified in being optimistic is what we just talked about, which is that, yeah, the Celtics are getting up threes, but are they generating the highest quality looks that they do against the best or they do when their offense is at their best? And are they going down a road where they are going to at some point need to ask themselves, do we just keep taking this diet of threes, or do we more lean into we're going to hunt the mismatch inside the arc and trust that either we're going to be able to score or we're going to be able to draw the help that way and then kick it more out to three-point shooters. And putting everything else aside, I want to put them in the position to have to ask that question.
Right. Yeah. And that's a tough question for them to actually answer, because they don't want to do that, right? They don't want
agree.
So that's where the way that Orlando defended them and now the Knicks, it's really putting, I think, some potential. Now, listen, Mazzulla could be at the point where it's not even going to matter. They're still going to play the same way. But you can't look at the way this game played out and say the Knicks didn't prevent them from getting the highest value threes. That, to me, is undeniable.
So a couple things, though. Issues potentially from New York. I know I'm going all over the place here, but it's just as it's coming, I'm bringing it up.
Let's do it.
I'm
with you.
There's a bodies problem here. So again, this sort of defense, you're susceptible to Towns foul trouble, which we're going to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns game that he had in a minute, I promise. Mitchell Robinson, is this Hack and Mitch going to be a thing? And if it is a thing, I mean, is he playable? And if he's not playable, where do you go? We saw Tibbs push 2 buttons tonight. Neither of them worked that great.
Yep.
Precious Achiuwa, I'm not sure. I don't think we need to say anything about Precious Achiuwa.
Well, here, 5 minutes, -7.
Is that bad? That feels bad.
That's pretty bad.
That's not good. And then small ball, which everybody's been asking for 5 years. So those minutes, I don't think should be an indictment on the prospect of them playing small, essentially with OG at the 5. I want to go back and I want to look at that. In the moment, it was like, man, y'all are leaving some stuff out here, and this is not your best foot forward. And look, maybe it's because they haven't played it much all season. And if you want to criticize the coach for like, hey, they're not used to playing small ball because they've played small ball, that's fine. I'll give you that. Anyway, so just some potential issues that may prop up. And then, but as far as and the other thing, and this will be a transition to talking about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, did he play a perfect defensive game? No. But boy, could you ask much more of him than he gave you tonight?
You know, it felt there was a couple Tatum plays in the first half where he's just shooting over the top, and it felt like he's not even feeling him. But in that same regard, it's still like a 20-foot pull-up 2-pointer. So you're probably living with that. And it never felt like the Celtics got to this area where they were just relentlessly hunting him to the point where the Knicks have to surrender. Like it felt like they got him.
When they backed him down, he held up a lot.
He did. And that's probably his best strength as a defender, right? And there was a few times in the fourth quarter and overtime where, you know, it was a lot of Towns and Brunson in the action, and it really felt like, wow, how do the Knicks defend out of this? But you do have so much backline support in that scenario that it didn't murder them, despite you would think you bring Brunson and Cat into the action, you're going to get a good shot out of that. Because the Knicks were switching it, it wasn't like they were walking into open threes. It was still, the Celtics still had to work for it. Even against Towns, they still had to work for it, even if they were getting good stuff out of it. It's not how they want to play. They will play this way, and they clearly will lean into it. The 3-point volume tells you that. But if they had their druthers, this would not be how they drew it up. They want to play like they played during the regular season, where they can just KP pick and pop, Tatum step into a 3 against drop, Tatum penetrate, get into the paint, drive, kick, get into rotation, swing, open 3. That's how they want to play. And that's how they did play. And they probably thought, you know what, the Knicks might have some adjustments, but they're pretty much going to have their base defense. I would love to know if the Celtics thought the Knicks were going to do this, play this way defensively. I mean, because it felt like such a shock to me watching it, despite like all of us talking about, like, you have to utilize this. So I wonder if this did catch the Celtics off guard a little bit.
It might have.
And it might, obviously going into game 2 with some time here to figure it out. Maybe they have adjustments
48 hours, but
right. Not a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
But listen, they made the Celtics uncomfortable, and that leads into missed threes. It's not just the luck of the shooting gods. You have to play a part in that.
Let's talk about so the one other point that I wanted to make to counter Boston feeling great about themselves. We talked about the rebounding. I think the Knicks can rebound better. I think the Knicks will rebound better. Something we haven't talked about yet, and that's because it didn't end up being the issue that it seemed like it was going to be midway through the first half, is the turnovers. The Knicks ended up in this game actually only turning the ball over 13 times. It was very aggravating, the turnovers to start the game. They cleaned it up. Credit to them for that. Celtics actually turned the ball over more times. 2 things. Free throws. If the Knicks lost this game, I think this would have been referred to as A, the free throw game, and B, the game where Brunson missed that shot at the regulation. Not as like a criticism of Brunson, but like, oh my God, Brunson makes that shot. Yeah, it was right there. He makes that shot 9 times out of 10, and this was the 10th time. But the free throws, now it was, so the hack and Mitch, again, I don't know what there is to say about that other than like, I just don't know what there's to say about that. I mean, is Missoula going to go back to it? Is Mitch going to hit his free throws? If he doesn't, what happens? We just kind of have to wait and see. Some other ones. So because he was 3 for 10. Cameron Payne, I don't think it was a coincidence.
No.
I mean, missed both of his free throws. Those were bad 3 minutes. Did not see the court in the second half. Played a 7-man rotation in the second half and overtime. Brunson missed only 1, 6 of 7. That's fine. OG missed 1, 3 of 4. Okay. Josh Hart, 3 of 6. Really, it's the Hart 3 of 6. That's and the campaign 0 of 2. Those are the 2 ones. So I'm not.
It's hard to kill them on that. Right?
I'm not losing my mind.
And they ended up. Yeah. And they ended up going 9 of 12 in the overtime in fourth quarter. Or the second half overall, 9 of 12 from the free throw line. So they made their fair share in the second half from the free throw line. But yeah, that it absolutely would have been the narrative if they ended up losing that game, along with, as you said, the Brunson missed shot. It's and if you have any PTSD, I'm sure you do, about Knicks playoff losses in the past, a lot of those losses revolve around missed free throws. So believe me, as I was watching that, I had a lot of those memories popping up in my head.
I don't know what you're talking about.
In the recesses somewhere.
Yeah, I don't even. What's a recess? Okay, 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna get you out of here. We're gonna get the super chats. So, in this game, Jalen Brunson, the two massive, just absolutely massive threes over Al Horford. Before we expand the conversation to how are the Knicks going to generate, after our segment and then the super chats, then I'm going to let you go. Andrew's listening and reminding me. We got to talk about how the Knicks are going to generate offense, because they basically tonight. Tell me if I missed something. Jalen Brunson drawing a switch and taking a shot over a mismatch. Karl-Anthony Towns going at alleged mismatches and semi-transition. Obviously moving without the ball, trying to get some stuff there, but like the Celtics are so good and so disciplined, like it's rare that they're really going to give you a lot of stuff there. What did I miss?
Yeah, well, I do want to go back and just rewatch the 11 Anunoby threes, because they're obviously a lot of those standstill catch and shoot. How did those come about?
It's a great
sure.
call.
I'm sure most of those were in early offense scenarios, but
I give him credit for that, because the Knicks don't always take advantage of the opportunities to get early offense when it's behind the arc.
When it's behind the arc, especially. And he did pass up a few late, but for the most part, I thought he was, obviously quick with the trigger to get up 11. The Celtics do a good job of not overreacting to anything inside the arc, and that's whether that's a Towns post up or a Brunson drive. And because the Celtics are really good at trying to keep Brunson out of the nail. So when Brunson can drive through the nail of the defense, like right through the middle, that's when he's at his best. But the Celtics have a very specific no middle scheme. And usually against most defensive players, Brunson's stronger, can go through the hip and still get to where he wants to go. But against Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, even Pritchard, who's a little bulldog defensively, he struggles getting to his spots where he can drive and kick, where he can get to his best efficient floater range. So it does make it tough for the Knicks to generate offense, because you're not getting those advantages. So I think that is why Brunson's just started to figure out, like, listen, it may just have to be me taking pull-up threes to generate some offense. And he made them during the regular season against the Celtics. And you mentioned the two big ones in the fourth quarter against Al Horford on the right wing. They were obviously massive, and he's going to have to lean into that, and it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to be, the most efficient offense, but I don't know on the first watch if there are other things that I can say that is translatable to an entire series. But I'm sure the Knicks are going to go back and say, yeah, we left some things on the table. There's some low-hanging fruit we can do to get better offensively, because this wasn't a perfect Knicks offense. So, so I think both teams can look at this and say, yeah, there's still some meat on the bones for us as well.
This is the point I've been waiting to make. Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, 51 points on 49 shots. That is about as inefficient as you're going to get. And I understand that how those specific players came about their specific stat lines was very different. I mean, the biggest number within that is, you just alluded to it, Jalen Brunson, 5 for 9 from behind the arc. It's arguably the most important number in the game, or the most important stat of the game, especially when you factor in those couple of threes over Horford. But this was not a great Brunson game, and I feel very comfortable saying that Brunson can play better. And
he should play better.
on offense and can shoot better. 5 assists, 4 turnovers. We know Brunson could do better than that. Mikal Bridges. Look, Mikal Bridges is the hero tonight, and he should be the hero tonight. They have him marked down as 51 minutes. You had it at 52, whatever it is. The man played a number that started with a 5. And he hit a big 3 down the stretch. It was a massive 3 in the moment. And he obviously made, up until this point, the biggest defensive play of the season. Maybe this was the game he needed to get out of the way. Maybe that final defensive play will give him the confidence, the comfort, the whatever he needs to get going in this series, because he had good looks and he just missed them. And then Karl-Anthony Towns. Need to call my cardiologist. Been talking for 36 minutes. Haven't really talked about Towns yet. Can it be worse?
Well, I hate to answer that truthfully. I'll say it won't be worse. I'll say it won't be worse. And
I gave you a fucking layup, dude, and you Brunson's the last play of the regulation. You couldn't just give me. You couldn't give me.
Oh, that was rough.
No, but listen, but that's, I hate that it speaks volumes that you're sitting there and you're having this moment when I ask you that question.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with this one, because you try to figure out what could be done in a team-wide scenario. What can you do to sort of free him and to generate
the play better button? Is it not the play? Is it what else? I mean, the play better button has to be a part of the Towns conversation tonight, doesn't it?
Well, yes, that's number one. But I also feel like the things that he was doing against this team, like some of those drives with all the bodies they have loaded up ready for him, and the fact that he is 1 foot leaper, he doesn't have the 2 foot game. So if it's a drive, it's either going to be a make or a miss. And then if it's a miss, it's a lot of times a layup or a 3 on the other end. I think what the Knicks need to figure out is, how do we create the cross match to get him, whether it's Porzingis or Cornette or Horford, in transition in a trail 3 situation? How do you supplement his game with those? I thought before the game that it was basically I was going to rely on Josh Hart to push that, because he's the cross match partner. And if you can generate some early grab and goes if you're Josh Hart and push the pace, force the big, especially if it's Cornette diving for offensive rebounds, to then match up with Cat, because Hart's already up the court. Then you can get some trail Cat 3s to just try to change up the pace, because it felt like he was so, at least from my perspective, worn out, exhausted, tired of just the way he had to generate offense, that it's not in his DNA to do this time and time again. So how do you push him out of that? Well, I think you have to figure out a way to get those cross matches, which will happen if you can push the pace. And then outside that, I think you have to, and this is the big question, how much is he going to be utilized as a screener? They did some, and they just got the Horford switch, and that did generate some good offense because Brunson made those 3s. So he is still a valuable piece on that puzzle, because they weren't sending help that way.
Yeah.
But it's still tough sledding for him against this particular team. It's been that way for most of the regular season. But the Knicks, I'm sure, could figure out other ways to get deeper post position, trail 3s, better, drives, maybe with more floor spacing, maybe without Josh Hart in the game, something to get him some freedom, because it felt like a lot of times he's driving into 2-3 Celtics, and it wasn't good. Wasn't good possessions out of that.
You want to hear the most disingenuous stat of the game, because it is not. I don't think it's reflective of what we saw. The Knicks' offensive rating with the starters plus Towns was 97.6. The Knicks' offensive rating with the starters plus Mitchell Robinson was 160. Now, starters altogether played 22 minutes and 45 seconds. The starters with Mitch played 6 minutes and 33 seconds. They outscored Boston 24-11 in those 6 minutes and 33 seconds. That obviously their big run in the third quarter was part of that. They have to get Cat going. Here's another stat for this game. One.
Yeah.
What's that number one? It's the number of threes Cat took, and it was a desperation three at the end of a clock that he didn't even really, I don't think, want to put up. So 0 trail threes. Get those. I thought he had some good looks that just missed. And I think once he started missing those good looks, I think it started to get in his head, and I think it compounded, and I think it led to what you saw at the beginning of the third quarter, which would have been a stretch of basketball if the Knicks lost this game that we would have been talking about probably for a long time. And tonight would have probably been a Leon Rose conversation if we're just keeping it a buck. And maybe it will be that a little bit. But listen, let me give Cat this. Cat came back in the game. One, like you talked about, he still helped generate, like, again, not easy offense, but like the easiest offense with the best offense you're going to get down the stretch of this game with these two, it was like Rocky and Apollo Creed in round 15. And number two, he did defend as down the stretch of this game. He defended. Was it great? No, but it was good enough. It was good enough. And again,
it was absolutely good enough. I thought he again, that's like a theme of this. He kept with it.
He kept with it. He didn't let go of the rope.
No,
and
he
looked
didn't.
like he was going to. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was in terms of like what it was asked of him. We talked about game 1 against Detroit. That was, it was an adjustment in terms of the aggression in that game, but this was a whole different beast that he had to sort of manage as a defender. Brunson too, like most of the Knicks had to play in a very unique style that they didn't have a lot of practice in doing this season. And, to be frank, part way through the third quarter, I'm thinking, man, I wish the Knicks had like practiced this a little bit to have some of, reps to lean back on, because, quickly on what the Celtics were doing in terms of how they were generating some offense, especially in that third quarter, second quarter as well. It was more the screening action. So they easily transitioned into a screen scenario where they were screening under the switch and then slipping out into space. It's a very clear way of screening when you're screening against a switch. Pritchard, who did this 3 times tonight, would screen his own man that is tasked with then switching onto whoever he's setting the screen for. And because Pritchard is bullying that player out of the way, the switch can never happen. So the Celtics do have counters, and they were utilizing them. If you're a Celtics fan, I would say, where did that stuff go in the fourth quarter? Because I feel like that all dried up.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's one of those like areas where if you look back on film, if you're a Celtics coach or you're Mazzulla and you're like, listen, guys, we were getting good stuff out of this. We were getting slips to the rim. We were getting drives because of the way we were screening. We went away from all of that.
But DJ,
in the fourth quarter.
What's the thank you, by the way, for your shout out on the Patreon pod. I have said for 2 years the Celtics have built the perfect basketball team for the modern era, at least.
Yeah.
The one thing I feel like Curly in City Slickers. The one thing, their lead initiator, the guy that starts the offense, is not a point guard. And neither is their second best offensive player. And I think there was, for years and years and years, there were a lot of theories that fundamental, that fly in the punch bowl was going to be the one thing that held them back. And they overcame it last year, obviously, based on sheer talent. And they again, coming down the stretch of games, I referenced game 1 against the Indiana Pacers. I was worried about that as we were coming down the stretch of overtime. Like, were they going to have another one of those moments that Jaylen Brown gave them against Indiana? It didn't turn out to be the case tonight. It's not that they can't make big shots, but in terms of maintaining the composure when the team across from them is doing something against them that maybe they're not in love with having to face.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You get this stuff. So that's the only place I'm going to go with that. Okay, I saved this for last. Look, I understand that Josh Hart is not everybody's cup of tea. I get it.
He's my cup of tea.
Deej,
Big old glass.
we are the I don't want to compare us to the British East India Tea Company because they did some pretty vile shit, but like we are the Josh Hart East Coast Tea Company. Oh man. How do you not want this guy on your team? How do you not want this guy on the floor for your team in the biggest games and the biggest moments of the biggest games? Look, I get it. We have eyes. We have eyes, just like I know this may surprise people to find out. And I did have to check with some sources for this. Tom Thibodeau also has eyes. And I get when Josh Hart is on the floor, it allows defenses to do things that they would not be able to do if there was a shooter in that spot. And I would love, and I know I speak for you too, I would love nothing more than for the Knicks to get in a position where they have a player on their roster that brings as much to the table, that brings so much to the table, where that becomes a legitimate conversation about, hey, we just need the spacing right now. Josh, we love you, but we just don't take any offense. This is what we need right now. We need to be able to generate a good look, and that's the priority here for this next stretch of however many possessions. This is not anything against Deuce McBride, who, by the way, had a great game. Really important game. We haven't mentioned his name. We've been talking for almost 50 minutes. Bad job by us. 3 threes, 4 of 8 overall, 11 points, 19 big minutes. Big time game from Deuce McBride. And when we're on the topic of bench guys, big game from Mitchell Robinson, who had the best plus minus by far in this game for the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson. Some of that was a little bit of what was going on around him, but he played a big role in that too. So big shout out to Mitch. Big shout out to Deuce. The two guys who a lot of people have said this year, maybe they should be starting over Josh Hart, or at least playing significant minutes over Josh Hart. I get it. This is not a simple conversation. You cannot divorce what defenses are able to do to your offense from the things that Josh Hart does well. I just can't watch a game like tonight and be like, no, it's not worth the trade-off. Because I have faith that when it comes down to it, that freaking guy is going to make enough plays to make it worth it to have him out on the court. And I just I don't know how much we need to see, again, with this roster, the way this roster is, to make that kind of statement.
Yeah, and listen, playoff riser is a very in vogue phrase nowadays. I don't know if the Knicks, Jalen Brunson obviously poster child for that in a lot of ways, especially down the stretch of these games. But Josh Hart is a playoff riser because the way he defends is amplified in the playoffs because because of his ability to armbar, and his strength is something that he can go to in the postseason when there is more latitude granted to a defender. And then how many times when we're watching playback did you say, or someone say, who made that play? And then someone said, Josh Hart did.
Oh, Josh Hart.
And it was a loose ball. It was an offensive rebound. He was only credited with 2 steals, but how many deflections and just chaos did he cause on the defensive end?
5 offensive rebounds, by the way.
5 offensive rebounds. And even more important than that, he made all his layups, which was something as we were winding down the season. We started to look at where this team was sort of losing its edge. And one of the areas was Josh Hart as a finisher. Just wasn't as good as the season was wrapping up. We were we were concerned about the knee. We were concerned about him just not having the same burst, but he made every one today. 4-4 in the restricted area in a game like this is massive, because getting layups against any good defense is worth its weight in gold. And I know it was only for a couple of possessions, but we're going to see likely Porzingis in the series. the fact that Hart was attacking him with the ball, dribbling and driving,
yes,
I thought was a priority for him.
Absolutely.
He got the one layup out of that. I thought just the attention to detail and doing that, not just being the shooter and the DHO hub, but attack the space. And Porzingis isn't moving well. He hasn't moved well in a long time. And that was one of the reasons why I thought the Celtics team was coming into this series at less than peak performance. Porzingis was a big part of that. And just the fact that he hasn't been moving well. And Hart, I think, and the Knicks know that. And they're going to try to eat up that space and try to make something happen with the ball in his hands as a driver, not just a shooter and a DHO hub. So I thought the attention there was really nice. And I think in game 2, if Porzingis plays, that'll be something he's going to go to again.
I felt watching the game just the same way that I felt for most of the season, which is that Josh Hart makes the Knicks' life more difficult on offense. I don't think any me and you were probably the biggest Josh Hart fans out there. I don't think we would disagree with that general statement. On balance, Josh Hart makes their life more difficult given their personnel and given the things that they are able to do and would be able to do if they had a true 5-out look. I still don't feel like they've fully tapped into the ways to overcome that. And again, there's a conversation of, well, why should they have to overcome that? And then you get back and forth. But I thought a lot of times tonight they did a pretty good job of it. And I thought they did, they maximized their opportunities even when he was out there and when it allowed the Celtics to load up and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Last thing, Tibbs.
He was in his bag tonight.
Can you?
My boy was in his bag.
Those guy.
Listen,
I'm just a silly guy in a hat.
I mean, we've talked about a lot of the things, right? He had this template that, again, I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but Orlando sort of showed you this is a way. He, I'm sure, took some notes, took some inspiration from that, completely overhaul his entire defensive scheme between series. And I thought stuck to the plan, didn't deviate. I thought that was a critical aspect to this. And listen, this team was entirely and wholly prepared for this game. And
hold on.
Yeah.
Can we just
sure?
Because I said something in the last series when I was talking about Tibbs and the pluses and minuses of Tibbs, and I said he has his teams better prepared than pretty much anyone in the league. And somebody called me out on it, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. And I think maybe I even went back on it or something. But I was like, I think it was game 5. No, was it game 5? Maybe it was game 5. One of the games. I'm like, they didn't come out as well prepared. I still think that there is an inherent advantage there when you have him as your coach in terms of to start a series, game 1, this is how we're going to go into it. And I think, again, this was the latest piece of evidence for that. Well,
yeah. I mean, listen, I know they lost the Miami game 1 a couple of years ago, but the Knicks have done well in game 1s of series under Tibbs. So if you look at that, I mean, the record is really good. So you think of how this team comes out to start a series. He usually has the right buttons pushed to start. Now, where the adjustments come after the Celtics make their adjustments, time will tell there. But in terms of how this series start, I don't think you could have drawn up a better defensive scheme to try to make life as difficult as possible for the Celtics team. So I think that's where I think Tibbs gets a lot of the credit. And then, offensively, the fact that he got his team, moving in transition into semi-transition was big. And then just able to get Brunson some daylight as because it did become very Brunson-centric there in the fourth quarter in overtime. Yeah. And the results were mixed. But the results are always going to be mixed against great defenses when things get tough in the playoffs. So he did enough to sort of generate some semi-decent looks. They attacked Horford in space, credit there. But I thought overall, Tibbs did a really nice job in this game and should deserve a lot of credit for that.
Where's your head at for the rest of the series?
Well, I mean, I think game 2 is going to be fascinating because emotionally and physically, like where are the Knicks going to be for that one? Like,
Can I just
yeah.
Look, I'm gonna eat these words. I know I'm gonna eat these words. If the Celtics go out game 2 and they win by 20 some points, I want to say right now, like, can we all promise collectively to take
chill the
a
F out? Yeah.
What?
To chill the F out?
To chill the F out?
Yeah.
Because that is what typically happens in these
Yeah.
sorts of. Not always. I in fact, Boston, Miami, that was 2 years ago when the Celtics almost came back from 3-0 down, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Miami came in, took care of business game 1, and then they obviously weren't happy, and they took care of game 2 too. But I am sitting here right now. I'm gonna just like, you did what you came to do. That is what I'm gonna sit here and say.
Yeah, and listen, the odds now that we're going to get a long series are highly likely right now, I think. And I think you can sign up for that and we'll enjoy the ride as much as we can.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all, and that's all we can ask for. All right. We got someone who wants to join us up here on the stage.
Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. What's up, Boston? By the way, fellas, if we can redo a segment from the past, I officially have a new candidate for the best game 1 win of the Tom Thibodeau era.
Oh, this is it.
We already did the calculations. This wins, folks.
Yeah.
This wins. Brooklyn, you should have asked for more. Bill Simmons, I know you're not laughing tonight. Ryan Russillo, Kevin O'Connor, the entire Boston Mafia. You're not laughing tonight. Tell me a little something, KD. Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Okay.
All right, folks. It is time to bet and sweat. Our sponsored segment from our good friends over at Fanatic Sportsbook. It's a prosperous night, fellas. I got to say, it's a prosperous night across the board.
You're damn right.
Because, let's see, Mensa took Knicks plus 10.5. That covered.
Amen.
Mikal Bridges, 2 plus 3s. I believe this covered.
It did. Yeah, he made 2 threes. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go to Jalen Brunson because I'm actually not sure what he finished with. Did he finish with 34 points plus assists?
He finished with exactly 34 points plus.
I love it. That's awesome.
No, it's
That's
not
great.
just the New York Knicks who defied the odds. All of your regular season stats. 0-4 against the Celtics. 0-10 against the top 3 teams. The Clippers who are up out of here. The Lakers who are up out of here. All those teams that don't matter. We're 1-0 in the playoffs against the top 3 teams. Okay? Knicks in 5, baby. We're back. Knicks in 5.
Can I give myself a small pat on the back?
Sure.
I went and found Brunson 30 plus points and Hart 12 plus points on Fanatic Sportsbook at plus 325.
Oh.
And I lost it by a freaking point.
Oh, John, we almost went to Sizzler. Damn.
Yeah, I almost went to Sizzler.
Oh, wow.
Anyway.
Apologies to the tough luck of betting and sweating, unfortunately.
Anyway.
Shout out to our good friends at Fanatic Sportsbook. Earn up to 10% back on your bets, win or lose. Use fan cash on team gear like my hat or John's hat or the stuff behind DJ as well. Maybe DJ used his fan cash and we'll show his stuff off later on in the week when we do a little X's and O's. Stay tuned for that as well. Or you could use it on bonus bets like the one or the hat that John's talking about. Look, John's showing us on screen right now. Or profit boots in the Fanatic Sportsbook app. Stay tuned for exclusive offers all playoffs long. Okay, DJ, I'll let you go. Well, John, I'll let you go. I'll let you guys have the last word, and then I got to do one more thing. Go ahead. I got to catch my breath. I've been in an Uber for 45 minutes.
John, your mic's off, but I'm sure you just threw it to me.
Sorry.
Listen.
No,
you're good. That was a fun one. Listen, these playoff wins, I always try to soak them in when they happen. and revel in the joy of them, because this team has historically never done it easy, and so when they get them, it's usually
Easy.
in this. I know.
The fuck is
What is
that?
even that word? I know. Oh God, it's so true. But just enjoy it. This was awesome. And this team, man, I love them. I didn't think I would. Believe me, I didn't think I would. And I love them. And this was fun.
DJ, I want to really convey this to you. I'm so happy you were here with me for this.
We lost John as he was complimenting me.
What's that?
Oh, there you go. You're back now.
John, repeat what you just said.
I said I just wanted to thank DJ for being here with me. It meant so much.
Oh, well,
to have
listen,
here.
Likewise. We've been watching this team for a long time, same amount of time, and this one is going to be up there with some of my favorite wins. The job is not done.
Oh.
I feel really good about where this team is right now. I'm not going to get crazy and start making wacko predictions, but they may have found some things, and let's just see where it goes.
There we go.
Love you,
DJ,
man. Love
quick
you guys.
question before you go. Quick question before you go. Do you like apples? Well, the Knicks won game 1. How do you like them apples? DJ Zullo, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, John, before we get a copyright infringement. So, Fanatics, our good friends of Fanatics, actually want to give us the first super chat tonight. I know this is a rare thing, but they want to do the first super chat tonight. So, the first super chat from Fanatics, instead of giving you the $100 in fan cash, we're giving it to Knicks Film School listeners. We have a quick announcement for everybody. Tag KFS and Fanatic Sportsbook on Twitter with your Game 2 bet slip for a chance to win $100. So we have officially a sweepstakes to announce, courtesy of our friends at Fanatic Sportsbook. Let me get the thing on the screen. So Fanatic Sportsbook. All you have to do is tag Knicks Film School and Fanatic Sportsbook, Fanatics book using the hashtag sweepstakes with your game sportsbook game 2 betting slip. So whatever it is, it could be as simple as Josh Hart over rebounds. It could be one of our betting and sweating picks. It could be one of our betting and sweating parlays.
Literally,
you just have to post a screenshot
That's it.
Screenshot of your betting slip.
So I download, if I haven't downloaded already, which I obviously have because I've been kind of really enjoying this. The Fanatics app right here, which is pulling up on my phone, needs my Face ID. There it is. And I make my bet for game 2. So I am going to go. Can I? They probably don't have lines yet for game 2. That's unfortunate.
They don't. Not yet.
Wait, no, hold on.
Is it already up? Have they put the 6-pack up yet?
Wednesday at 7 p.m. That's game 2, right?
That's game 2.
Okay, great. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to do Jalen Brunson plus 30 or more points plus 150.
There you go.
And I'm going to do, look, I get 1.29% fan cash on this. I'm going to do a nice little $10 bet, nothing crazy. Oh, it's plus 150, so $10 gets me $25 if I win. And I'm going to place bet. Placing your bet. This will only take a moment. Oh, look, and there it is. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot of that, and then I'm done.
Yep, and then John officially enters the contest. Now,
but I have to tag Knicks Film School.
You have to tweet this out and tag Knicks Film School and Fanatic Sportsbook. So Fanatics Book, and use hashtag sweepstakes in your tweet. We will be giving this away, the winner of $100 in fan cash. What could you do with your fan cash? You could do what John just did and place a little bet on Brunson or the Knicks to win game 2. Or you could get the Brunson jersey that's behind me, which is only $80. You can get the hat that I'm wearing, which is only $15. John's hat, which is beautiful. There's a ton of memorabilia.
Brunson jersey here.
A Brunson jersey, whatever you'd like, you could use it on fan cash. We are giving away $100 in fan cash this Wednesday after the Knicks go up 2-0 over the Boston Celtics. I'll call my shot. after we fully take control of this series, John, by stealing the first two in Not the Garden. That's what we call it, Not the Garden. TD Bank Arena. It's a waiting room.
Amazing.
Yeah. Knicks in 5, baby. We back. Okay.
We're so
Shout
back.
out America. Shout out to the New York Knicks. That was an incredible game. Shout out to John. Shout out to DJ. And shout out one more time to the fine folks at Fanatic Sportsbook. Again, earn 10% on your bonus bets, win or lose. Use fan cash on team gear on Fanatics.com or bonus bets or profit boosts in the Fanatic Sportsbook app. Stay tuned for exclusive offers all playoff long. You must be 21 or older to play. If you have a gambling problem, you know what to do. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And odds are subject to change. Okay, I have hijacked the post game long enough. There are hundreds of Knicks fans that probably want to talk to you about this thrilling victory. Yeah, so as Kevin says, 104 super chats. It's time for me to get out of here.
Jesus
John,
H. Christ.
I just want to give one more quick shout out. As to the fine folks at T Squared Social and everybody that came to T Squared Social tonight, specifically a gentleman named Joe C, who's been a fan of ours since 2019, and walked in and said, Claudio, big fan. Knicks are going to win tonight. And I was like, sure, buddy. Here, I'll get you a drink. Sure. Sit down. Find a seat at the bar. And then he, throughout the game, because I'll be totally honest with you, I started looking at train times at halftime. Can I get home early before the game's over? We were talking about, are the Clippers going to fire
Andrew,
Ty Lue? Like,
you missed it. Down 20?
Mm-hmm.
I said it on YouTube.
What?
Series is over.
The series? Oh, the Macri curse happened. The series is over. John,
it's undefeated.
I was
it's
talking
undefeated. Every time I say it
and like say it and mean it too. Like you thought the series was over at halftime.
I meant it.
I was talking to my buddies over at the Clips and Dip podcast, the Clippers podcast, and I'm like, are they going to fire Ty Lue? I think he'd be a great replacement for Tibbs. Like, that's as far as I got. Was like, because obviously they get swept, or that first half, they shot 5 of 23 from 3 and still had a 16-point lead. I was ready, and I want to shout out Joe C, who was like, Andrew, not only are you not going to catch your train, but they're going to be tied with 6 minutes left. And I was like, yeah, okay, buddy. Then they're tied with 4 minutes left. Then they're tied with 50 seconds left. Then they have the finger roll 2.0 where Brunson misses that layup. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really going to be like J.R. Smith not knowing what the score was.
The finger roll 2.0. Oh,
John, I was like, this is exactly how this ends. Like, it's that devastating. I mean, that was the Celtics go on like a 12-2 run in overtime.
So that was same round of the playoffs 30 years ago.
Yep.
Game 7 versus game 1.
Yep. It's more reminiscent for me of J.R. Smith forgetting the score. Like, you had to do everything perfect to even be close. No, not the finals, but in the sense of like mirror image of a game 1 where you could have stole it, and if you lose it, you're the lower seed having to try and win now 5 out of the next 6 games. Or I guess 5 out of 7 total. Point is, they got the job done. Mikal Bridges, all is forgiven for now. And the New York Knicks, at least for the next 2 days, have a commanding lead in their series against the Celtics. Let's go, Knicks. Enjoy your super chats, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday.
It never happens in the way you think it's going to happen. You know, I love what we do here at Knicks Film School because we provide, and when I say we, I mean everybody that I'm lucky enough to work with, provide the absolute best analysis. Like DJ's, Patreon pod, Benji's breakdown of the series beforehand. Andrew's pregame pod, like me and Fred, me and Jeremy. All we do is it's like we look at it from every nook and cranny and think about every different which way that a game could go, a series could go, a different possessions could go. And then the game happens and you're like, well, I didn't see that coming. And that is, I've said different versions of this over the years, but it never gets any less true. This is why we do this. It's because if we could figure it all out and if we could predict it all, Shit, that wouldn't be very fun. Man, tonight was special. I'm not wasn't without its stresses, but tonight was special. All right, let's get into it. Here we go. This was from first super 3.5 hours before the game started. Nick Head. Let's go, Nick. I love you, buddy. Let's go, Nick. Good. Sorry. I keep muting myself. Nick Head. Let's go, Knicks. Yes. Love you. Thank you. Good way to start us. Rafa. Okay, I'm guessing this is the portion of the super chats that came in during the game. Kev, let me know how many of these we have. Rafa, we are miles away from being contenders. Tibbs is 100% gone. Maybe we can hire a coach that doesn't start the offensive schemes with 6 left on the clock. This did not age well, Rafa. Thank you for the contribution. Robert Cross, first time, long time, it's your boy John. I said the Knicks would win game 1. We won game 1. Here we go. Oh, only one super chat from before the end of the game. That's great. I said the Knicks would win in 6. We are winning in 6. Hashtag Knicks in 6. Rob, I've never called you Rob before. I don't know why I just called you Rob now. Robert, so you said to me that you thought the Knicks would win game 1, lose game 2, win games 3 and 4. I am already conceding game 2. I think most Knicks fans would be happily concede game 2. Like, if you ask me right now, what do I think the series is going to be? I would say I think the series is going to be 2-2 headed back to Boston for game 5. And I think, I have confidence, certainly in the Knicks to win a game at Madison Square Garden. Do I have the confidence that they will win 2 games at Madison Square Garden? I don't know. Obviously, I picked Celtics in 6 before the series. At this point, am I feeling? If I was going to amend it, I would amend it to Knicks in 7. I would not amend it to Knicks in 6. I will just say that. All right. Thank you, Robert. Huzzoo! McCall's last 5 minutes of this game was orgasmic. I had to go change my underwear before the post game, so I feel you. A monster roller coaster, this guy, but man, he is who he is. Respect him and his game. Let's effing go. Knicks, way to steal one. I just hope this can get him going against this team, because there has been something that has happened to him when he has played Boston where I think it has been in his head a little bit. I thought maybe he started to snap out of that in the 4th game when he had some big plays in the 4th quarter. Came in tonight, and I don't think... Here's the thing about Bridges tonight. His defense was great all game. And there was never... he missed some shots that were not great, but there was never a moment for him that was even close to where we got with Towns in the beginning of the 3rd quarter, where it's oh my God, he's just completely evaporating into a puddle before our eyes. McCall never had that moment. He was missing good shots, but I think you felt I never wanted him off the floor. I'll say that. And I don't think they could have survived without him off the floor. Played him 51 minutes. Thanks, Hush. Drew P. Fuck them picks. Tibbs masterclass. Drew, it's funny because the super chat, 2 super chats ago said, we got to get a new coach, 100%. Listen, is it controversial for me to sit here and say that I think Tibbs coached a good game? There are issues with this team. There are issues with this coach. You have some good moments and you have some bad. You have good games and bad games, good series and bad series. Doesn't mean they won tonight. I thought he coached a good game tonight. Does it mean he's the best coach for this team moving forward? I don't know. But the man coached a good game. And we could at least sit here and acknowledge that. Thank you, Drew. Anthony Sixto, never on schedule, but always on time. Wingstop has arrived. Give Mikal his flowers. Hashtag gutsy. Hashtag that's my fucking team. Hashtag I'm out of breath. We're all out of breath, Anthony. And yeah, Mikal has to get his flowers and Wingstop. So I love it. That's what I love about Knicks Film School. This is what I love about the post games. I can sit here and talk for 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, like I did tonight. And I could go all that time, and there will be someone that will say the most obvious, most like pertinent thing for this whole game. And I will somehow have forgotten to make this explicit point. And you know what the point is, Anthony? It's that the theory of the case, which we've been talking about since fucking September, the theory of the case tonight held up, which is that if you take these two brilliant offensive players and you ask them to do just enough, and you surround them with these three wings and ask those wings to go out there and do what they do, that's a winning formula. Tonight, it was a winning formula, even though one of those two gifted offensive players did not exactly come through with a big-time game. And the other one, Jalen Brunson, had some moments, but it was not a great Jalen Brunson game either. And yet, the formula still worked. Why? Because of the wings. Credit to Leon Rose. Thanks, Anthony. Daniel, petition to rename all the bridges in New York City, Mikal. Oh, man. Maddie wants to stay with me. Oh, I've just been informed that the dog would like to hang out with me. So, shout out to Madison, named, of course, after Madison Square Garden. What bridge should we name after Mikal? I mean, George Washington's been dead for a long time. I don't think any of his relatives would even care if we renamed the George Washington Bridge. That's an idea. The Brooklyn Bridge, Kevin? Yeah, but the Brooklyn Bridge, I mean, it's a Brooklyn Bridge. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to rename that. The Williamsburg Bridge. The Williamsburg Bridge goes to Brooklyn. It's a different area of Brooklyn, but it goes to Brooklyn. And you know, who gives a shit about Williamsburg? So we could do that. Let's do that. Thanks, Daniel. Bernard Richardson, what's going on, Bernard? Anybody still scared? Go ahead and sit these out. We don't need you right now. We're here to fight. Gonna have to kill us first before you bury us. Let's freaking go. F Boston. It goes back, and this is why, again, I'm so happy that I had DJ on with me for this game. On this post game, excuse me. Because, like, what he said at the top, it's the only thing that, like, we can talk about the X's and O's, we can talk about individual performances. This was grit. This was grit. This was fight. This was toughness. This wasn't shot making. Like, yeah, they made some shots. But, like, the Knicks here, hold on. I'll get it right now. In the final 8 minutes. And so let's go 8 minutes and 27 seconds because the second Brunson three came with 3:28 left. So in the final 8 minutes and 27 seconds, nearly 8.5 minutes of this game, 8+ minutes of this game, the Knicks scored 11 points. If you're talking about, how do you beat the Celtics in the Boston Garden? Do you think it's going to be enough if you score 8 minutes in the final 11 minutes of regulation if it's a close game? Or, excuse me, 11 points in the final 8 minutes of just basketball. If it's a close game, the answer is probably going to be no. That's not enough. And yet it was. Because they won this game ultimately on defense, which is not something I thought I would be saying about this team a couple weeks ago. Thanks, Bernard. Jacob S. What's going on, Jacob? Old habits die hard. Cat fouling and Boston blowing leads. Mitch free throw practice. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of this is not. I mean, this is the reason this game is going to live on. I think for Knicks fans, regardless of what happens in this series, I think is because of all the things that they did not do well, and because of all of the stuff that they did leave on the table. The cat foul stuff. I mean, it's been 10 years. Mitch needs to hit his free throws. But like you said, Boston knows how to blow a lead. They've been doing it for years. It's part of their DNA. Knicks took advantage. Thanks, Jacob. Deadward 604. Just wow. JB is king. OG was a monster, and Bridges had his own version of the IQ Boston game. Big time stealing this game, won in Boston. I gotta tell you, I think OG, I mean, look, the Quickly game in Boston was like, no Nick played that well tonight. Let's just say that. No Nick played that well tonight. If anyone gets that designation, it has to be OG Anunoby. It has to be. The guy on a night when the Knicks, they're going to, spoiler alert, they're going to struggle to score in this series because Boston's defense is awesome. This is not, I know we talk about, different things the Knicks could do to generate good looks and this and that. Boston rocks. They just won the NBA championship. They're really good defensively. And the Knicks struggled at times to generate good offense. And OG doing what he did, making shots and just making plays. It cannot be overstated, the importance of OG Anunoby in this game. Thanks, Edwards. Hayden Freed. There we go. Right on cue. The OG game. Hashtag Knicks Film School for life. Hashtag fuck you, Reggie. What was bothering me about Reggie and the analysis from him? I think Reggie's is pretty good at what he does. In the first half, when it was painfully obvious to anyone who has watched the Knicks all year that they came out in this game and made a very specific defensive adjustment, that he didn't seem to be picking up on that was what was happening, and instead was whoa, Karl-Anthony Towns is guarding Jason Tatum now. What's going on? As this was some how did this happen? Dude, this was what they wanted to do. It was very clear that this was what they wanted to do. Now, it might work, it might not work. It didn't look like it worked for much of the first half because of Towns got in foul trouble and the whole thing. But it was blatantly obvious to anyone with eyes and a brain what the Knicks game plan was. This was not oh my God, look, the Celtics are getting all these matchups that they want. No, this was what they wanted. This is what the Celtics were playing for. So that annoyed me. But other than that, I thought Reggie was fine. But fuck him also. Thanks, Hayden. Mikey Havoc, 815. I didn't hear no fucking bell. That's good. I like that. That's good. Thanks, Mikey. Dom Cappuccini. I know he's happy. Hey, John, I think I'm starting to see it. And yes, I was pondering the rest of Discord on the offseason at halftime. No, it's halftime. Halftime, I was in a comfortable place. I know I come up with some morbid analogies sometimes, and I'm going to do another one here. It's when you've had a family member that has had a tough battle with some illness and they finally are kind of not dead yet, but at least not in pain anymore. And things are at peace. That's where I was at halftime. I was okay, now we can finally put this thing to bed. This is not the mix. This is not the formula. They have some good pieces. Let's figure it out in the offseason. I was there. This team has had what a way they have had about them to really like convince you time and time. And Dom, me and you, I don't think we're like bad fans. I'm sure people will call us out for that. It's like for all the talent that they have repeatedly convinced us that like this just ain't it, and we don't need to see anymore to know this just ain't it. And yet here they are up 1-0 against the Boston Celtics in the conference semifinals. So, maybe we should be maybe we should have learned our lesson by this point. Thanks, Dom. Dom the dentist, never in doubt. I doubted like crazy in the second. I doubted like crazy the first half of the third. The first half of the third was like, I mean, my head was in my hands. I was just, it was not a pretty moment at all. Thanks, Dom. Chris Carter, I don't have the cholesterol for this. Again, shout out to Dr. Weber, my cardiologist here in Brooklyn. Told me I had a clean bill of health earlier today. He's like, cholesterol's great. I'm like, oh, what a nice surprise. Did not think that's the answer I was going to be getting. You got this, Chris. It's okay. Drew P. First time I have loved this team. Oh, man. That's my favorite comment of the night. I'm going to write that one down. I got to write that one down. That's a good one. Yeah, man. I don't blame you. Because like, what does it take to earn that? It takes a game where like shit's not like, it's not all going your way, right? It takes a game where you are leaving meat on the bone. You are leaving stuff on the table. And probably a game where you do get down a bunch because like, just think about this team and think about everything they've been through and think about the first round that they just went through and think about the fact that they were down 20 in the third quarter and how easy it would have been to just be like, all right, we'll try again on Wednesday. That would have been so easy. I would have understood it. I don't even know if I would have blamed them. I would be like, yeah, go back and get them on Wednesday. Try to get the split then. And the fact that they like, it's not only that they get back in the game, but as they were getting back in the game, as it was not going perfectly. And there were things and they were continuing to make these errors and stuff where I'm like, oh my God, guys, they're opening the fucking door right there for you. Just walk through the door. Even after they got it down, like to around 11, 10, like even after that, it was still the case. And it would have been so easy for a team that was not as mentally strong as this team to fold. And they never did. And that, like, how could you not be proud of that? I don't know. I'm with you, man. Let's ride or die the rest of the way. Win, lose, or draw. Let's go. They earned it. Juanon! Wow! Thank you, Juanon, for our first crazy super chat of the night. Man, thank you. Plus 1,100. The Knicks were plus 1,100 at halftime. Figured I'd share a few bucks from the trenches. John, solid, soft motherfuckers can go home. Salute to those who run into the fire like this team does and their damn coach does. Hashtag fire tips. Well, look, if you know, you know on that one. Good job by you. I hope you put a few bucks, more than a few bucks down. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson. What? You know what we haven't talked about? we haven't talked about Mitch's defense on Jason Tatum on the final play of regulation. Exceptional. Didn't bite. Exceptional job. My dog is eating my desk. No. And the name I didn't mention there, Karl-Anthony Towns, like, I'll give Cat this. Even in games like tonight, where nothing is going his way, he didn't let go of the rope. And he made some big plays late. He really did. Made some, including a big offensive rebound, by the way. And put back. So they have guys that run into the fire. I don't think it's a lack of desire or a lack of willpower or a lack of toughness or a lack of any of that stuff. I think it's just they haven't fully figured out the formula yet. They haven't fully figured out when, like, how to execute. But hopefully they will. And hopefully this is the start of it. Thank you so much, Juanan. I really appreciate that. I am AK Legend. I may cry out of pure joy. This fucking team. Let's go Knicks. Good to be back. Super chatting. I am AK Legend. Thank you so much for that. Look, it's only game one. It's only game one. And but let's all of us revel in this. What do we got left until the game 2 tip off? About 44 hours. Every one of us, let's all make a pledge to each other to enjoy the hell out of these 44 hours. And I know we're going to go back and we're going to watch tape and we're going to see stuff on the tape. We're going to be like, oh my God. But let's just enjoy the win. And I hope that this win secured a long series. And if we could get a game 7 situation against the Boston Celtics, like, giddy up. Let's go. That's it. John Sands, what's going on, John? 51 of 53 possible minutes. My wife wants to know if they're going to put him in a cryo chamber to get him ready for game 2 or what. You got to believe. Look, a lot of shit's been said about Mikal Bridges this season, and I've said some of it. And I've said some of it pretty vociferously. Because I have been really frustrated by some of the specific things that I have felt that he has left to be desired. He never let go of the rope. Throughout the entire season, he always managed to rebound from stretches of poor play with stretches of exceptional play. He had big moments in big spots, including several big plays that directly won games, like towards the end of games. And after the start of the Detroit series, I did not think went necessarily his way. He really turned it around. It wasn't perfect, but he really turned it around. So, and the guy just goes out there and and DJ nailed it. The fact that he seemed to be getting stronger as the game went on and he played over 50 minutes. I mean, massive stuff. Thank you, John. Paul DeSantis, what's going on, Paul? How are you? What are the most improbable and impressive wins I can remember? 1 down, 3 to go. # go Knicks and fuck Boston. Yes. Improbable. Ooh, that's a good question. When was the last most improbable Knick playoff win? So this is a really difficult conversation because, like, you could go improbable in terms of, like, specific situation, like the end of game 2 versus Philly. That was incredibly improbable. But it wasn't improbable until the last, whatever it was, the last minute of the game. For me, this goes down for me as more improbable than that game because the improbability of this one was there was so much baked into it, and there was so much weighing on the improbability. It's the most improbable playoff win. I'll just say it. It's the most improbable playoff win I could remember. Yep. Yeah. Wow. What a great stat this is. DJ just passed this along. The Knicks tonight shot 11.4% worse on 2-point attempts than the Celtics and 29.8% worse than on free throw attempts than the Celtics. NBA and WNBA playoff teams were previously 0-75 when being outshot by 10% or more on twos and 22% or more on free throws before tonight. Wowza. Thanks, Paul. Sam L. What's going on, Sam? Shout out to Foreplay. How you like them apples? Fuck Boston. We here. Bridges is a Rorschach test of your loyalty as a Knicks fan. He giveth and he taketh. Go New York, go New York, go. I think he's a Rorschach test on how you view just how you view this iteration of the team and what they're capable of. I think there is still room for pessimists to be like, they completely screwed up this entire era of Knicks basketball by giving up all the picks for him. Like, that was their chance and they blew it. And I think there's absolutely a chance. Like, you are within your right to be like, look, he hasn't had a great season, but it was the move, and we're seeing now why it was the move. And I completely agree with you in that sense. It's absolutely a Rorschach test. So yeah. Thanks, Sam. Debo, what's going on, Debo? Hold on here. Okay. Brunson, OG, and McCall. What an effort. Let's see if McCall was right when he said the Knicks are built for this. One down. I mean, tonight, they were certainly built for this. So I think he made a good case, and he was there when it mattered. Can we add Josh Hart to that list? And for that matter, like, Deuce McBride. But I think Josh Hart needs to be added to that list. To say that they do not win this game without Josh Hart is it's just a massive understatement. Thanks, Debo. Nicole Taylor, what's going on, Nicole? Cat, for the love of God, shoot threes. I noticed this is me drinking some of my bourbon and also pouring myself some more bourbon. Look, Cat, how about this? How about this for glass half full? Cat's not going to be this bad the whole series. Not even close. He's just not. What if they just survived the atrocious Cat game? And what if Cat looks at this and is like, man, I killed my team. I can't play worse than that. And we won anyway. I owe it to them to be better. And you know what? What if he is better? And what if he's better in a game where the Knicks also have a chance? So, but I agree with you, Nicole, 100%. Matt G, I'm glad my newsletter prediction ended the opposite of 2011, and those 6 picks for McCall can suck a fat D. That's fantastic. Yeah, listen, I would love nothing more than to be wrong about so many things. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you, Matt. Dan Hidalgo, John, what is Jalen Brunson? Holy fuck, man. I've never been more proud of a Knicks team. You know what here's the best compliment that any of us could give Jalen Brunson. You ready for it? Here it is. Jalen Brunson missed what was undeniably, here's another compliment for Cat. Exceptional pass on the last play of regulation. Exceptional pass. Or the last offensive play of regulation. And I actually realized I misspoke. Mitch's great defense was on the Tatum shot attempt before the Brunson shot attempt. It wasn't on the Celtics' last play of regulation. It was on the one before that. Anyway, great pass by Cat. Great play call by Tibbs. Brunson missed a shot. If they had lost this game in overtime, yeah, we would have lamented the miss. But there's not a single Knicks fan alive who would have blamed or held that against Jalen Brunson. You know, even a couple of the possessions down the stretch where the Knicks didn't get off a great shot, like there was the one turnover, there was the one long two that missed. I think there would have been some talk about it and some people who were like, man, you got to get better shots there. But no one's holding that against Jalen Brunson. I think it would be more of a commentary on the team and what they could do to make his life easier. He's Jalen Brunson, man. He's Jalen Brunson. Thanks, Dan. TJ2K. McCall didn't hear no bell. #3 to go. Yes. Play of the season so far. Well, the Brunson 3 in Game 6 is pretty big. One of the two biggest plays of the season so far. How about that? Thanks, TJ2K. Christopher Halecki. Okay, that was impressive. I mean, again, third quarter. 75-55. Outscored them 53-30. 53-30. And if we start it after the White 3 when they had 75 points with 5:47 to go. So let's do 540 plus 12 plus 5. Let's do so over the final 22 minutes and 46 seconds. 22 minutes and 46 seconds. They held the Celtics to 30 points. Pretty good. Pretty impressive, I'd say. Thanks, Chris. Kyle Keegan, what's going on, Kyle? How are you? That was the craziest roller coaster ride of a win. My fiance wanted to fight all 15 Celtics and their sociopath coach for what they were doing to Mitch. One for the history books. Yeah. That wasn't good. I need another one. Should I do another one? No, I don't have it in me. I need to build up to it. I'll get back to it later. Look, a great strategy by Joe Mazzulla. Give him credit for doing everything he can to win a basketball game. It was absolutely the right strategy. I was frankly surprised they did not go back to the strategy in the second half. I would have. But, yeah. Shout out to your wife, Kyle. Thanks. Frank Miranda. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. What a game. Never thought this team could pull out a win like that. Neither did I, man. I don't know that I kind of want to go back and watch the playback of myself because I'll be able to tell if this is true. I don't think I ever allowed myself to believe that they would win the game until they actually won the game. Maybe that's just a lot of scars showing up, but yeah. Anyway, stats may not show it, but Bridges deserves a game ball. Let's fucking go New York forever. Yeah, I'm gonna have a talk. I actually didn't even do stars of the game for Game 6 against Detroit. I wrote 3 newsletters since then and keep forgetting to do stars of the game, so I have to at least mention the stars of the game for the last game against Detroit. For tonight, So OG definitely. I mean, Brunson, Brunson, Brunson has to get some. I mean, he's 5 of 9 on threes. You know, I mean, he was 5 of 9 on threes. Man, it's good. I'm obviously looking at. I'm looking at Josh Hart, and for Josh Hart not to get a star in this game, does Brunson not get a star? I mean, he was off offensively. No, oh man. I'm gonna hopefully I'll find the right answer by the time I'm done with this post game, because I don't have it right now. Yeah. Anyway. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate you as always, man. Twin Orange, Boston scared. Hakamich is in the first is weak. Listen, it's a strategy, but it's also like you get it. You know, you get it. I don't love it. Does it feel like basketball to me? No. I don't know that I would say I feel, that makes them scared. But thanks, Twin Orange. Dom the Dentist with another one. I promise I would have been happy with a fake comeback. I don't even know what to do with this. I have a drink. Cheers. Thanks, Tom. Sam Garcia. Holy crap, we stole one. This to me, thank you, Sam. This to me is the question of the game. Did the Knicks steal one, or would the Celtics have stolen one if they had won this? Because it feels like as it was going on, this was the game. If maybe two things could be true. As the game was going on, it was very clear this was the game the Knicks had to win if they were going to win the series, if they had any chance of winning the series. And yet, I don't disagree with you. It does feel like they stole one, which is, given that this was the game they had to have, given the stuff that happened, it's probably not great that we're thinking that they stole one, but I also don't disagree. Look, they have to play better. How about that? They have to play better. Thanks, Sam. Al Oren Balk, what's going on? How you doing? I was ready to be content with a Knicks comeback and giving C's a fight. This is insane. Once they went up 97-91 on the second Brunson 3 with 3 minutes and change to go, at that point, again, it's going to seem like I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth here. I did not believe they would win. And at the same time, at that moment, I was like, no, we've now come too far. They have to win the game. Like, they have to just win the game. Once they went up by 6, and then when they went up by, when it was 108-102 after the Cat offensive rebound in overtime, 108-102, and that came with, I think it was under 2 minutes left, 147 left. I was like, okay, now there's really no question about it. Now you have to win this. And then was the freaking Holiday offensive rebound in the Brown 3, which brought it to within 3 with 1:16 remaining. And nobody scored for the rest of the game. Reminded me of some old Miami Knick matchups. I look at some of those box scores occasionally, and I see I was looking at Game 7, 2000 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Knicks Heat, and I forget why I was thinking about like the biggest like shots in like the last 30 years of Knicks history, and I was like, oh, that Ewing dunk in that game, I remember that being the game winner. And then I went back and I looked at the game, and it was the last bucket I think scored in the game, and yet it came with like over a minute to go. And that's because those teams, they were just wars. They were just boxing matches. They were rugby matches. They were football games. They were whatever you want to use. And tonight was similar in that respect. It was similar. So kudos to them for coming away with the win. James Miller. What's going on, James? As a fan of the sport, watching the Celtics play disgusts me. More pathetic than the D'Antoni Rockets. Anyway, let's fucking go Knicks. F Tatum, a fraud. Yeah. They have devised a formula that they feel takes the greatest advantage of the way the game is called and the rules as currently exist. I think the NBA may agree with you to some extent, and I would not be surprised if in the not too distant future we get some sort of adjustment to limit the ability for teams to just go out there and shoot 50, 63s in a game. I don't blame them for it because I get it. Like, it's, I hate to sit here and be the guy who's like, it's math, but it's math. I don't blame you either, though, for feeling what you feel at all, to be very clear, James. And I think that's very fair. Thanks, man. Haitian Ferg. I knew I could count on you. This coach, team, and JB are galvanized, and most importantly, they've arrived in the nick of time. Definitely definite adjustments, clutch shot making, coaching adjustments. Let's go, baby. Oh, defensive adjustments. There you go. Yeah, I mean, again, the tough part of this game, if they had lost it, is like, from an X's and O's standpoint, I think you saw everything you wanted to see. I mean, I know there was the super chatter that was commenting when they were down 20, how, like, why are it's 6 seconds left on the clock when we cross half court or whatever. Yeah, that's an issue sometimes, but I thought they pushed the pace pretty well tonight. I'm actually curious to look up what their pace was tonight. Look it up right now. Let's see. Can I do last game? Pace tonight. Make sure this is accurate. Yeah, it was slow pace tonight, 91.92. I think it probably slowed down a lot towards the end. But I thought in general, they did a decent job pushing the pace. Defensively, obviously, we know what the adjustments were. They did make clutch shots. They made clutch plays in general. A lot of clutch defensive plays. But my favorite part of your chat, Haitian, is that they're galvanized. Like, I don't know that they needed to win this game to feel like they could win the series, but I have no doubt in my mind that they feel like they could win the series now. And that's pretty cool. Thanks, Haitian. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? Long-time supporter, man. Thank you. John, I called it quits when we went down 20. Do I dare believe? I think you believe that they could win the series? Yeah, you could believe that they could win the series. Will they win the series? I don't know. You got to win 3 more games against this team. And my God. Again, it's like, I sat here during the pop monologue and I pointed out all the reasons why the Knicks should feel encouraged because they'll do this better and that better and yada, yada, yada. Great teams, and the Celtics are a great team, have a funny way of making you play in a manner where you're left after the game being like, well, shit, all of this stuff that we did wrong. A lot of times that's like, it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence that teams always seem to do a lot of stuff wrong when they're playing these really good teams. Funny how it works out that way, So they really do still have their work cut out for them. Can they win the series? Absolutely, they could win the series. I would not have said that if they lost tonight. If they lost tonight, I wouldn't have given them a chance in the series, regardless of how it ended. So, yeah. Thanks, Stevens. Jason M. What's going on, Jason? The base defense worked and switching and taking away the open threes. They got away from this in the second half and were fortunate Boston missed shots. Yeah, I mean, they diverted from it a little bit. I think they also went back to it in overtime, and they absolutely switched everything in overtime and down the stretch of the fourth quarter. You want to tell me they got away from it a little bit in the third quarter? That's fair. For maybe the beginning half of the fourth quarter. I thought by and large, though, they did stick to their guns. Look, it's going to have to be a mix. I don't think we're going to switch everything for the entirety of the rest of the series. I think the whole key with beating a team like Boston is you give them different looks. You know, I'm not saying that they should come out and fucking drop tomorrow or on Wednesday, but, you know, you get my gist. Thank you, Jason. Luyen, what's going on, Luyen? What the heck did we just witness? I have no idea. Zero. I can't believe this is only game one. In the immortal words of Mr. Macri, I'm too old for this shit. Yeah. Just a bit. I don't want to say. I'm turning 42 soon. Too soon. Yes. 42-year-old men should not be doing this shit. Thank you, Luyan. Parish Duggar. Great. Never a doubt. Never a doubt. A great win. Now fire this terrible coach. Dang it. Yeah. Coach, you coached a great game tonight. Sam Garcia's dad. What's up, Ray? I'm speechless. Except to say Bridges. Yeah. Play of the game. Second biggest play of the season at worst. And boy, does he have a penchant for coming through with some big moments, you know? Couple quotes. Jaylen Brown on the difference in defense between the Celtics and Magic. Orlando kind of took the three-point line away. It felt like the Knicks were kind of daring us to shoot. Like they wanted us to shoot those shots. We didn't make them tonight. I'll agree to disagree. Look, I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch every single one of the Celtics threes, but I would agree to disagree with Jaylen there. I think some of the threes, a decent amount of the threes the Celtics got were good threes, and they just missed some of them. I like the Knicks had a game plan, and I think we have to respect that. This is Josh Hart on the Celtics three-point shooting in game one. I don't think you want to force them into threes. We don't want them to shoot threes. They got great shooters. You never want a team like that to shoot more threes. So, yeah, but again, it's about the type of threes that they're shooting. Thanks, Ray. Hush Zoo, I'm so happy everyone stepped up. OG said, hold those regular season numbers. I show up when it matters. Cat, huge putback. JB's so filthy. Hart, let's freaking go. Knicks. OG, I would say over the last 2 months has really changed my perception of him and what he can be as an NBA player moving forward. Obviously, you know, since that stretch, he hasn't like played at an all NBA level, but like, you want to talk about a guy who is taking on the challenge and like living up to it in big moments? Look no further than OG Anunoby. Thanks, Hush. Jason Concepcion. Shout out to California. I never said anything bad about Tibbs ever. No one can prove nothing. I love Mr. Jalen Brunson. I love the Knicks. No, man, I know you, Jason. You've always been in Tibbs' corner. I love that we're getting some Tibbs love tonight. This is great. This is so much fun for me. What a delight. Thank you, Jason. As we cross the 2-hour mark here. Rich McLeod live from T Squared Social. Holy shit. Yeah. Shout out to T Squared. Great time tonight for everybody who was there. And the Denver Nuggets refused to go away in this game against OKC. Shit. Jessica, thank you so much for your DMs over the last few days. I think you may have sent one that I haven't responded to yet. I'll get to it. I promise, as always. It was like your newsletter this morning was a checklist of what to do. They didn't nail everything, but wow. JB, born to play basketball, 3 more. Let's freaking go Knicks. So for anybody who missed it, why not give a shameless plug to the newsletter. I went through 5 keys for the Knicks beating the Celtics. Key number 1, Karl-Anthony Towns needs to play up to his full potential. Could we get a gong sound? Because I know the Gong Show is like off the air, but the gong sound should live on, and we need a gong sound for that because that one we did not check that one. However, 2, what will the Knicks get from their bench? I said the Knicks needed to get a bench performance. Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson. I know he missed the free throws, but I thought both of those guys did enough on their parts. Number 3, Josh Hart has to take and make threes. So this one was a little bit trickier. Josh Hart tonight, I believe, went 1 for 4 from deep. Did he go 1 for 4 from deep? He went 1 for 5 from deep. So he took 5, and he took them with confidence. He made 1. That's obviously not good enough. 2 for 5 would have been a lot better than 1 for 5. Probably even needs to take a few more, but I thought, I don't know. I was encouraged by the confidence that he took the threes with. I'll leave it at that. Number 4, what will New York get from its wings? They needed big performances from their wings. Overall, check that box. And then number 5, can Jalen Brunson be the best player in the series? And I emphasize specifically defensively. Can Jalen Brunson have a great series or great efforts defensively to the point where you don't feel like he's just this walkover? And I think he did that tonight. And I think he was better than Jason Tatum in this game. That's for sure. Thanks, Jess. Huck Frazier, what's going on, Huck? Huge win. Spotted the 20 with refs calls and missed free throws. In my opinion, didn't make sense to give up on Deuce. Every starter has slumps too. He's back. Also, Bridges. Yeah, I don't think anyone was ever giving up on Deuce. Are you saying that? I'm not sure, obviously, because it's a super chat, but are you saying that because Deuce only played like 9 minutes in the last game? I don't think there was never any possibility that they were like going to give up on Deuce. They need him. They just don't have the bodies. You just hoped he was going to come out of it. And I think all the credit in the world to McBride for coming through and having a big game tonight. Thanks, Huck. Danilo Peralta. What's going on, Danilo? Cat had a bad game, but played good defense in crunch time and had key impact plays and didn't break mentally. That was great to see. Danilo, I really appreciate you trying to put a positive spin on Cat's game, and I needed to hear that. So I mean this. Thank you for that. That third quarter stretch from him had me so discouraged, and it had me discouraged in a really specific way where I was watching it, and in my head, I was hearing or seeing all of the criticisms of him over all of the years where people who have been critics of his point out like, yeah, man, for all of the talent this guy has, for all the talent, there are just stretches of big games where you're like, you look at it and you're like, man, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And those are his critics that say that. And I've read all of that criticism for years because I've always been fascinated by him as a player. And I always kind of had my eye on him as someone that, like, obviously was going to come up in, anytime the Knicks were in the position to make a big trade, and eventually it finally happened. So when I was watching that, I found myself reverting back to a lot of those doubts and a lot of those criticisms, fair or unfair, probably unfairly. Look, he had a terrible stretch. It was not a great first half for him. It was a poor first half, and then he had a terrible stretch at third quarter. I'm more than happy to go into game 2 feeling like he has it in him to do a lot better. Thanks, Danilo. Hush Zoo with another one. Thank you, Hush. I still think this goes 7, but this team has instilled the belief I had last year. Maybe the Detroit series woke something up in them. Why not us? Let's go Knicks. I mean, you win a game like this, sure. Why not us? Listen, you beat Boston, you can beat anyone. And I don't say that lightly. If you beat Boston, you can beat anyone. Now, they could beat Boston and they could still lose in the next round. They could still lose in the Western Conference Finals. Like, I'm not saying they will, but like, if you can beat Boston, you can beat anyone. I'm all for belief in them, and I do think they needed. I don't know if it woke something up in them. I think they needed to go through the Detroit series. Thanks, Hush. IL with another one. No doubling or helping much in defense was instrumental. Yeah, it was switch everything. The most frustrating defensive possession of the game for me actually was a result of OG Anunoby, who is the Knicks' best defender. And it was where was it? Hold on. I'll find this. Where the hell was it? There was a play. Of course I can't find it now. I thought it was a Tatum. It was a Tatum. Or no, it was a Harford 3. Hold on. Now I'll find it. Now that I know it was a Harford or an Al Horford 3. Harford makes no, not there. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up. Was it in the third quarter? Maybe it was. Oh yes, that's right. It was in the third quarter. It was because it was the last play of the third. Tatum, we were talking about this on the playback and on the watch along. Tatum had picked up his dribble. I forget who was guarding Tatum, but whoever it was did a really nice job and forced him to pick up his dribble. And the time was running out on the shot clock. And then OG lunged over to help. And it gave space for Tatum to make the pass to Harford, and Harford drained the top of the arc 3. And I was like, man, OG, why are you going to help there, man? You didn't need to help there. You didn't need to go shade over. And that felt so big in the moment because the Knicks had fought so hard to get it down to 6. And then the Celtics ended the third with a little momentum, up 9. Obviously, it didn't end up making a difference. And Al Horford did not have a good shooting game tonight. He was that was the only 3 he made. He was 1 of 5 from 3. But by and large, you're right. They did not overhelp on defense. Thank you, AL. Kevin Danishevsky, great to hear from you, brother. Best win of the Tibbs era. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll get back to that. And I wrote his obituary at the half. Never write any obituaries at the half. And by the way, I don't know why you were writing his obituary at the half. I thought this was the first half, was on. There was a lot of reasons to be, upset at the first half. Look, and I've been pretty even keeled recently when it comes to Tibbs. I didn't think it was on Tibbs. My guy Bridges, yes, I was out for a second, but I'm back on the bandwagon. Good for you. Wingstop worth the price tonight. Yes. Okay. Best win of the Tibbs era. Best win of the Tibbs era. Sorry. Best win of the Tibbs era. Holy shit. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. For reasons that I don't know that I could fully explain. Maybe because they won the game with defense down the stretch and they put a stranglehold on the Sixers. I will always remember Game 4 against Philly last year in the first round as just such a perfectly played basketball game where they could not have done anything better and didn't think the coach could have been better, didn't think the players could have been better. Precious Achiuwa was prominently involved in that game for reasons that were completely valid at the time. I don't know, man. Maybe this might be the best winner the Tibbs are. Might be, Kev. Mitchell W. What's going on, Mitchell? How you doing, man? First time, long time. Welcome aboard. This is why you trade for that man. Put respect on McCall's name. OG undeniable. Brunson is a gift from the gods. Thanks, KFS, for all the great work, and fuck Reggie Miller for life. Well, amen to that. It's our pleasure to do what we do. We feel extraordinarily fortunate that we are in a position to be able to do it. And thank you, everybody, for putting us in the position where we're able to do what we do and put the amount of time in it that we're able to put into it. Yeah, I mean, like I said it, or I've written it recently, like if I was someone in the front office who was like heavily advocating for the Mikal Bridges trade, and like I probably spent a lot of the season fearing for my job safety or job security, and now all of a sudden you look up and you're like, yeah, I mean, look, the picks are the picks, and like, we're about to come up on the summer of Giannis, and we'll have a lot of conversations about that depending on how this series and season ends. But you had a vision when you made the trade, and even though he didn't hit shots for much of this night, like I think the vision has come mostly to fruition over the back half of the Detroit series, and really the whole Detroit series, and tonight. Okay. Thank you, Mitchell. Okay. We're going to do it now. So a quick word from our friends at Cornbread. It is so funny that I love the fact that I get to do Cornbread ad reads. It seems like every game I get to talk about Cornbread, they pick a night during which is the most insane night, because I get to read this first line, and this first line just, oh my God, this hit home. Has life been a little crazy lately? I don't know. What do you think? The one thing that helps me unwind, Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. I know they got a bunch of points that they want me to read. I got to tell you, just like, you want to know like legit backstory here. Cornbread became our sponsor, whatever it was, a few months ago. And they sent me a form to fill out like, hey, you get some free stuff because you're doing the ad reads. What do you want? And I was like, you know what? I really do have trouble sleeping for a variety of reasons. Send me, and one of the options was the Sleep Aid CBD gummies. And so I'm like, give me that. I filled out the form, and I've done a lot of ads and products over the years, and I mean, trust me, we're lucky enough to be able to do some great stuff with a lot of great partners. There's not a ton of times where as soon as the supply ran out, or right when the supply was running out, I was like, man, this is helping me so much. And this has really become part of my routine. I got much more, like the quality of sleep that I was getting, I felt was better. And it felt like my physical wellness was better. It felt like my mental wellness was better, just everything across the board. And it just really gave me peace of mind, because like I used to go into nighttime, I swear to you, fearing like, oh my God, if I don't get a good night's sleep tonight, tomorrow's going to be a nightmare. And then I got this tomorrow and that tomorrow. No more with Cornbread. And so can't recommend them enough. Again, Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. It's everything you want. They use the best part of the flower. It relieves everything, discomfort, stress, sleeplessness, the whole thing. So if you want to take advantage, you could save 30% off your first order. All you need to do is head to cornbreadhemp.com/KFS and use the code KFS at checkout. Again, cornbreadhemp.com/KFS. Use code KFS. And again, I chose the sleep ones. They have all different varieties of all different CBD gummies. So you can get the one, that you feel like it is most helpful for you, and can't recommend them highly enough. So shout out to Cornbread. All right, Bill Peter friend, no analysis. Holy effing shit. Let's effing go. I love how I did effing, but shit. Go figure. Thanks, Bill. Jason, McCall has gotten back to being an elite defender in the playoffs. That's the player we wanted for years because we knew the impact it could have. This is the guy they traded for. That's the whole thing. This is the guy they traded for. They traded for the guy that could be a game-changing defensive player. Now, he had an off shooting night tonight. It happens. And he still helped them win the game. That's what you want. That's a winning player. That's a player you trade all these picks for, because guess what? The other part of it is you never have to take him off the floor because you never feel like his presence out there is hurting us. Not going to say any names, but like, look, Karl-Anthony Towns, moments tonight where you're like, oh my God, get him off the floor. Josh Hart, who I love more than any basketball player in the history of organized basketball. Like, he cramps their offense. Even like our beloved Jalen Brunson, who obviously we want out there for every minute of every game, but like defensive issues with him. With Mikal Bridges, the thing to say about him is you never, ever, ever are like, get that dude off the floor. Because if he's playing remotely well, he's helping you in different ways. And when he's playing like this defensively, you can't afford to take him off the court. Thanks, Jason. Christopher Halecki with another one. Thank you, Chris. It might have taken all year plus one playoff series, but maybe they have found themselves. Can they just play with confidence and poise for the whole, for the majority of the game? I thought they did it for a goodly portion of this game tonight. Maybe getting this win can get them to a point where they're like, hey, we could do this for even more of the game. I would love to see that. Thanks, Chris. Parrish Duggar, amazing win in spite of no head coaching help. Wow. Parrish, you sound a little silly. I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks, Parrish. When everybody else around you is commenting on the coach and is saying like glowing things, including people who don't usually say glowing things about the coach, you might want to take that as a hint. Danny Small, what's going on, Danny? How are you, man? Give Brooklyn another first rounder. Bridges has been sensational. Iron Man with 51 minutes. For the record, I still hold my high school's record for most minutes in a game, 44 against Monroe Woodbury in triple overtime. Bridges, in all caps, Bridges. Yes. Iron Man performance, if there ever was one. I have not yet looked up how many Knicks in the history of Knick playoff games have played at least 51 minutes. I'm looking forward to looking that up. Yeah. Shout out to Mikal Bridges. and shout out to you, Danny, for holding that record. DDD 137. Hello, DDD 137. I'm in grad school in Hawaii. Oh my God. Me and my wife have said to each other for years, we're praying one or both of our daughters go to college or grad school or whatever in Hawaii. One, because it would give us an excuse to visit, and two, because they would just have the best time. So great job by you. Anyway, I took time out of my workday working on a grant application due tomorrow to watch that. And oh my God, my heart. I watched that and I have no idea how that happened. First of all, fantastic decision by you. Fantastic decision. Your grant application, just include a link to our playback watch along. And I think they'll give you anything you want. Yeah. And yes, as far as I have no idea how that happened. Yeah, all the buzzwords, grit, toughness, confidence, belief, all those things. And just some really special defensive performances by basically everybody. Everyone who saw the court down the stretch of that game gave you big time defensive performances. So yeah, thanks DDD. And Oh my God, Jokic. And man, this fucking guy. Have fun in grad school. Oscar Long, what's going on, Oscar? Hart all game, OG third quarter, McCall OT. The Wings are here. Thank you for shouting out Josh Hart. It's been interesting that he hasn't gotten as much love as some of the other guys. I thought he played just an exceptional game. So thank you for pointing that out, Oscar. I appreciate that. Dom with another one. What's going on, Dom? I wasn't prepared to be standing up in the last 20 minutes tonight going into the series. I can't effing wait for game 2. Oh, my Lord. I have no idea what to expect this series, and I don't care. No idea what to expect this series. I think the battle lines were drawn tonight. I think the battle lines were drawn tonight in the sense that the Knicks very clearly told the Celtics, we do not fear you going one-on-one against perceived matchup advantages. I think we got a Celtics team that told you loud and clear, we do not care that you get us into one-on-one situations with perceived matchup advantages. I think the Celtics asserted themselves on the boards, and I bet you they feel like that's a possible advantage for them. I think those are the big ones. And we'll see how each team adjusts from here. I am most curious about how the Knicks will go about trying to find efficient offense and whether more of an effort is made to get Towns specifically threes. It's the one thing that if you want to criticize the game plan tonight, you want to criticize Thibodeau tonight, I think it has to start with the fact that Towns took essentially he took the 1-3, but it was an end of shot clock 3 that I don't think he really wanted to take. But yeah. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you. Dan Hidalgo, I may be evicted for screaming that loud. Wow. Yeah, my wife came in and was like, you're going to kill yourself because you're an old man and your body is not cut out to support this level of emotional investment. So yeah, I mean, that versus evicted, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Thanks, Dan. All right. Jessica Elson, what's going on, Jess? Again, that was some Tibbs shit. Fucking fence. Let's effing go Knicks. Can I do one more thing though there? Yes, agree to all of it, but I want to add one bit of and I before the playoffs started, I was like, Tibbs always says you build habits over the course of a season starting in training camp. Yeah, you do. And I was like, what habits has this team built that are good? You don't defend like they did in the final however many minutes of regulation and then overtime without good habits. You can't get that instilled or whatever over the course of 3 days. You need great habits to pull that off, and they got some good habits. Thanks, Jess. Rafa, big win. I need a cardiologist. Let's go Knicks, motherfucker. I yelled a lot of obscenities at the end of that game. That was one of them. Thanks, Rafa. Who started us off, by the way, tonight? Jibo, 2 things. 1, this is the Bridges that was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Absolutely. Number 2, we almost lost this game because of rebounds. They took 10 more shots and free throws. So thank you very much, Jibo, for pointing that out because it's it would have absolutely been the story of the game had they lost. Field goal attempts. Boston Celtics 97. New York Knicks 87. Free throws. Celtics 22 of 26. Knicks 17 of 31. That they won this game, man. That they won this game. It's like, again, it was the game they had to win. Very clearly, it was the game they had to win. But I just can't disagree with the earlier statement, from Sam Garcia. Feels like they stole one a little bit. Thanks, Jibo. Spicy Sham. Ayo! WTF. Yes. Exhibition continues. Greatest 8-point performance in playoff history. People are going to remember this Mikal Bridges game for a long time. And not only for the last play, for the defense throughout. It's a big one. Absolutely. Thanks. Distribution continues. Jay Stells. What's going on, Jay Stells? Keep those damn 8th graders, Brooklyn. I don't want them. Look, let's see how the rest of the series goes. Let's see how this summer goes. Let's say this. Regardless of what happens with all of that, the fact that you've now at least seen the theory, again, I'll go back to it, the theory of the case, the fact that we've now seen the theory of the case and we're like, all right, I get it. You need this level of defender who is also capable of doing this sort of stuff on offense. You need that guy to beat whoever you need to get past to win a championship. Like, you just need that sort of player. And the notion that you're going to sign that player on the mid-level or trade for that player for like a smaller package, or, draft that and develop that player. Like, but, if maybe you do, but by that time, Jalen Brunson's going to have aged out of his prime. Like, you needed to make the move. He was the best guy on the market for that specific role. You went out and you got him, and you got him for moments like this. Thanks, Jay Stills. Pit Lane Formula. What's going on, Pit Lane Formula? They were drinking Space Jam water. No disagreement. Oh, man. It's secret water. That's great. That's a great line. Thank you. You got me cracking up. Robert W. Cross with another one. First time, long time with your boy John. Been a fan of this team through thick and thin. When you're a true orange and blue, no one can take that fandom away from you. I don't know if you meant to rhyme, Robert, but that's a great job. We've seen a lot of shit. You've been a fan for longer than I have. Obviously, you've seen finals performances. I've seen the same finals performances. We've seen conference finals performances. We've seen big moments. Something about this game felt, frankly, it just felt a lot bigger than game one of the conference semifinals. And maybe that's just because of the opponent. Maybe that's because of the season that we've had. Whatever it was, it just felt bigger. So, again, let's enjoy it. Thanks, Robert. D. Ebanks. What's going on, D. Ebanks? Been tired of the lazy Mikal takes. MB is better than what this fan base feels about him. And I'm happy for the dude's moment right now. So I love the fact that you use the word feels, because speaking for myself, I'm not going to speak for anyone else in the fan base. For me, I've had a very difficult time disassociating my feelings about Mikal Bridges versus what is purely on the tape and what is purely in the X's and O's and what is purely in the numbers. That's me. Am I a little bit skewed because of, what maybe some of the reporting has implied at times in terms of, different things? Perhaps, but it is what it is. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just witnessed Aaron Gordon make a 3 to beat Oklahoma City at the buzzer in OKC after Chet Holmgren missed 2 free throws with 10 seconds remaining. Wow. Wow. Whoa. Ooh, wow. What a freaking game. Hey, sorry, Kev. Hold on. Hey, I can't hear you.
That was crazy.
That was insane. I can't believe he took the 3 as opposed to them taking it 2 because they could have won it with a 2.
I'm streaming, so I was on a delay. So then I see it after. I'm like, oh, shit. They Hart is took.
Oh my God, that whole stadium full of people doesn't know what to do. All right, let's get back.
Yeah.
Let's get back. Whoa. Woo. Brian Farley, that's a great what do they call that thing? Whatever the little picture is here. I thought that game only happens against the Knicks. Goddamn, I drank a THC seltzer during that, so I'm still not sure that happened. It did happen. Yeah, man, I was waiting. I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Even when they went up 97-91, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. When they went up in overtime, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. With 3 seconds left, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and the other shoe never dropped. So there you go. Thanks, Brian. Zach Horowitz, my man, are you still in Alaska? Shout out to Tibbs Adjustments. Defend the 3 first. Who would have thought? OG and MB worth every penny. Deuce is back. Brunson gets prima nocta rice. Sure, why not? Deuce being back. Hasn't gotten enough love tonight. He's gotten love from a couple super chats, not enough. They would not have won this game without Deuce Pride. They need the bench to win this series. They could not win this game without their bench. And by the way, Boston's bench, so Sam Hauser, it's a little tricky because he went out with an injury. And also, like, Al Horford was forced into a much bigger role because Kristaps Porzingis only played 13 minutes because he obviously wasn't feeling well. Luke Cornett did get 4 offensive rebounds in 17 minutes. That's a way that he's really good at that. And we saw him punish the Knicks with that earlier in the season. Overall, though, I did not think Cornett hurt the Knicks too much. And then Pritchard played 24 minutes, got 13 points. He 13 points on 6 shots. That's an extraordinary efficiency. I don't know that I felt like Pritchard changed the game in a positive, like he was good. He was a positive force whatsoever, but like totally. But like before the game, I was predicting like Peyton Pritchard would be like a game-changing force because I thought the Knicks bench was just not in a very good place. I think we can like, is this a hot take to say that I think the Knicks bench like was close to on par with the Celtics bench? And again, that's going to sound ridiculous. The Knicks bench scored 14 points. The Celtics bench scored 24 points. And they were very efficient. And like the hack and Mitch strategy was a very good one for like Boston. Like there's lots of ways that you could look at or take what I just said and like throw it back in my face. I don't know, man. I kind of felt like it was close to even. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Thanks, Zach. Jesse Conover. Oh my effing God. I cannot believe it. What a win. Apologies for doubting. No, man. Then my apology, what's it? The apology form needs to be as loud as the disrespect, whatever it is. All those things are very stupid to me. Anyway. They've earned our love at this point, but they also earned our doubt if we're keeping it a buck. So you don't have to apologize for that, Jesse. We got, hold on. Quote from Bridges here. So Fred Katz, shout out to Fred, asked, last play of the game, you stole the ball. Pass tracks over your head. Where are you looking? Mikal Bridges asks, Cam, how I track the ball? Cam, Rams, question mark? Mikal, I'm a football guy watching his eyes. Fred, you're Sauce Gardner. Mikal, Witherspoon, I'm a Rams fan. I love this. You know what I love about that? I love that he's just like in a good place, state of mind, mentally right now, because that's the most important thing, I think, for Mikal Bridges. And he'll need to be in that state of mind moving forward. Thanks, Jesse. Guy Huber, then. What's going on, Guy Huber? Tibbs was great tonight. Appreciate you saying so. I have been given a reason to be delusional now. Oh, my God. We've all been given that reason to be delusional. We're up 1-0, man. We're up 1-0. It's a chance to make this a fucking series. Let's go. Thanks, Goober. Altered Yeast, they have the fight. The fight is what we needed. Yes, they have the fight. We knew they had the fight. They showed the fight against Detroit. They've showed the fight a lot this season. I completely agree with you, Altered Yeast. They have not showed the fight to this degree on this stage, so this was meaningful. But we knew they had the fight. They needed to show us more. They needed to show us more from an execution standpoint, from an X's and O's standpoint. It was not perfect tonight. The offensive rebounds they gave up, the turnovers they committed, the free throws that they missed, some of the possessions where they were not able to generate a good shot. It's not perfect. I thought they made strides tonight. I really genuinely believe they made strides tonight from an X's and O's and execution perspective on both sides of the ball. I'm not worried about the fight. I know they're going to have the fight. I'm worried about them being able to game plan and execute their way to 3 more wins. You need both. You need the fight and you need the other part. And maybe we're getting there. Thanks, Altered Yeast. Mitchell with another one. One more. KFS makes basketball more enjoyable. Thank you all and enjoy the win. We can beat those crustaceans. You got to believe. Man. Thank you. We love what we do. We're honored to do what we do. And I just am so honored to work with the people that I get to work with. The fact that I get to come on here afterwards and just talk to DJ Zullo or Benji Ritholtz about X's and O's and pick their brain on the spot when they haven't had an opportunity to rewatch. And I'm digging into this and that, and they're giving me these great answers. And then, we got, Jeff coming on, freaking Emmy winner, coming and join me on, post games and Jeremy with cap stuff and everybody. I could just list our whole faculty, everybody up and down the line. Chris Persianen, a freaking beat reporter with he's breaking news left and right. He's part of our team. It's just the best group in the business. Really privileged to be a part of it. And thanks for the shout out. Oh my goodness gracious. Jason Calcanis. What's going on, Jason? How you doing, man? We hired Bridges and OG to counter Boston And we did that. Soak it in, fam. Man. Oh my goodness gracious. Jason, thank you so much. This is like incredibly generous for a game 1 win, man. They didn't even win the series. They didn't even win game 2, game 3. No, game 1 win means a lot. Thank you for the support. And on your comment, I think the reason, if you're someone that is sitting here and feeling like this game had just an extraordinary amount of meaning, I think you have to go back to the summer and training camp and so it's interesting because when the Bridges trade was made, specifically the Bridges trade, after that trade, because again, the immediate reaction was, oh my God, 5 first-round picks for a guy who never made an all-star team. But then in the same breath, everybody was like, oh, well, they identified we need this to beat Boston. So let's go get that guy. And we'll figure out who's going to be our second leading scorer. We'll like whether it's Julius or whether we trade Julius. Like, we'll figure that part out later. But that part is secondary. That part is secondary to assembling an infrastructure that we know can go head to head with a Boston team that has no ostensible weakness and that has these wings that could do all these things on both ends of the floor. How are we going to counter that? And then, that whole conversation got muddied, clouded, whatever, by the Towns trade, because you could look at the Towns trade and you could say like, oh yeah, again, this is in the effort to beat Boston because they can't switch onto him and feel comfortable. Well, they can actually. But like theoretically, you can't do that. And like he further opens up the floor and spaces the floor and the whole thing. That's not really true, because if you look at Towns and the fact that he's another defensive weak spot and you already had a defensive weak spot and he hasn't always been great at punishing mismatches, that was like a separate thing. And I don't know that you could group them together. The Bridges trade and the OG extension, and I think it's very symbolic that those two things happen within 24 hours of each other. That was with Boston in mind. And look, they traded for Cat. Cat's, I think he's probably going to be here for a while. But they also traded for like that big contract, right? And like you could do some things with the big contract like that. The Bridges trade, when you trade 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, you are saying to everybody, like, we believe this is the formula. Now, for much of this year, we've talked about Bridges in an unflattering way and said, hey, does he fit with the culture here? Does he fit with the coach here? Does he just fit with how this team likes to play? And what we've now seen in the playoffs is I don't want to say it's a different version of him, but it's like you're seeing it. You're seeing it in these games that get this tight and you need XYZ from your wings. He's able to give you all the things. And as is OG, obviously. Massive night for OG tonight. And with the exception of outside shooting, so was Josh Hart. Now, I know the outside shooting piece is kind of an important piece, but still. So, theory of the case gets some love tonight. Thank you, Jason. Busy. Hi, Busy. How are you? Look at that. I only been saying stop hedging and switching defense. Look way better than we switched. Force all 5 guys to defend and send less help, lat help. I don't know. All last series on playback, I was screaming in the comments. Late help. Yeah, I mean, Busy. Look, you get to take the victory lap tonight. You get to take the victory lap tonight. No one's going to begrudge you of that. No one's going to deny you of that. obviously, the coach agrees with you that this was the best game plan. I think I don't know that you are saying this. For my 2 cents, I kind of love the fact that they waited until this point to do this. To sit here and be like, this is what they should have been doing all along, I think is, again, we talked about some of the drawbacks. It doesn't mean you don't do it, but I think Tibbs basically said tonight, so you bring up Detroit. I think Tibbs basically said tonight, against Detroit, we didn't feel like we needed to go to this. But against this Boston team, we just feel like we have no choice. Does it mean he wants to do it? Does it mean that he feels great about it? No and no. But it does show you that he feels like he doesn't have another choice, and he's going to go with the thing that he feels gives him the best chance to win, which obviously is this, in this matchup. So do with that what you will. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you as always, man. I don't thank you enough. And another one from Busy here. If you haven't heard, defense wins championships. Yeah, ask Nico Harrison. Man, I'm watching Mark Dagnall on the podium. I don't know what he's saying, obviously, after this OKC game. Man, is this freaking series gonna be a war? OKC Denver. We are set up for one hell of a second round of the playoffs. Ooh-wee. Man. Thanks, Busy. Mark. Hey, Mark. What are you doing, Mark? If you squinted, that looked a lot like the same grit from last season. Love the aggression, and everyone had their moments. What a win. Yeah. Everyone who played had moments. Even Cat had moments. Campaign, not so much. I don't know if the campaign had any moments. Other than campaign. And Precious Chua. What was Precious Chua's stat line? Let's read that. I know this was not the spirit of your super chat, but this is what it got me thinking. Precious Chua, 5 minutes, 0 for 1 from the field. He did have 2 defensive rebounds, so there's that. And then he was a -7 in 5 minutes. So maybe like everyone other than Precious Chua and campaign had their moments. But no, you nailed it with the grit. Same grit. Exceptional grit. Grit doesn't get grittier than this. I just thought of My Cousin Vinny scene. Both scenes. With the grits in the diner and then obviously the Magic Grits cross-examination. It's 12:43 a.m. I'm probably not going to get started writing this newsletter until about 1:30 or 2. Why do I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to prominently involve quoting from My Cousin Vinny about grits? We shall see. Thanks, Mark. Jesse Tubman, Wingstop has arrived, baby. Yeah. That was a big year. Thanks, Jesse. Anthony Perino, what's going on, Anthony? My favorite thing is that Brunson got huge plays from McCall and Cat in overtime after horrible games to give them confidence moving forward. Biggest win since 99. You know, this game was shaping up to be a referendum on Leon Rose, and not in a good way. There was a point in this game, maybe fourth quarter, where I was like, oh my God, this is the Leon Rose game. Karl-Anthony Towns had an opportunity, completely diarrhea down his leg. Mikal Bridges at the time was 2 or whatever he was, and hadn't made some of the massive defensive plays, even though he was very good defensively. It was going to be a referendum game on Leon Rose. Look, they still have more series left to go. There's an opportunity for the narrative to change. But I love that for tonight, both of those guys came through with big plays. As far as the biggest win since 99, I can't put it over the Game 7 win over the Miami Heat. in the conference semifinals in 2000. That was such a big win. I know they didn't beat Indiana, and you want to tell me they didn't really have a great chance to beat Indiana? I remember that night. That team still had some life left. Couldn't get it done. So I'll go big. I could give you biggest win since 2000. Yeah, I'll give you biggest win since 2000. That's fine. I'll absolutely give you biggest win since 2000. Sure. Why not? Thank you, Anthony. Dom with another one. Tibbs and Mikal Bridges are granted a stay of execution. Hashtag 5 picks. No, like, you want to talk about the sort of game that could get you into a conversation about how does Tibbs save his job? This is the game. This is the sort of game. If Tibbs coaches like this the rest of the series, Tibbs is probably going to be the coach next year. Now, I say that, you know, if you wanted to watch tonight's game and be like, what are you fucking talking about? Karl-Anthony Towns took 1 3s. You ass clowns were all talking for days about how, what do we need to do? We need to spring Karl-Anthony Towns for 3s. He shot 1 3, and it was the end of the shot clock. Where's the creativity to spring him for 3s? You know, if you want to, it's fair. So that's why nobody's saving any jobs just yet. But I think tonight was a good game, and I think what we need more. We need more of this. We need even better. How about that? Thanks, Dom. Dom with yet another one. Most impressive aspect of this win is when we were down big or in the closing minutes of regulation. Nothing was going right for New York, and yet here we are. Proud fan. As I was watching it, my like basketball lizard brain, my basketball lizard brain was like, there's no way that they could win this game, because when you have this many opportunities and you come up this short, and I'm not saying that I don't say this to disparage them, but like, you know, we could go through some of the stuff. Like in overtime, again, they scored 8 points in overtime. They, you know, hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. In overtime, oh wait, actually, I don't even need to hold on. Pivot fade. Shout out to Pivot Fade. Where is it? Stats. Overtime. So the Knicks in overtime shot 3 of 9 from the field. They gave up a few offensive rebounds. They gave up a second chance 3. Yeah, I mean, I think that you could probably stop at 3 of 9. And then if you want to go back to the end of regulation after Brunson hit the second 3, the offense from that point forward, I was just watching this and I was like, man, they can't win this game. They don't deserve to win it. Like, they're having their chances. Like, we know how these games go. When teams like come so close and then they need to make that 1 more or 2 more plays and they don't make it and the other team took advantage. Like OKC tonight, you know, but they got it done. They got it done. Thanks, Tom. Okay. Kento Kato, what's going on, Kento? OG, two-way beast. JB was JB. Hart everywhere. Better Deuce. Good Tibbs game. And I will live with Mikal shooting if he rebounds, passes, and defends like that. Boston will be better, but I couldn't ask for a better start. So Bridges for you mentioned the rebounding there. Let's go through the rebounds actually in this game. Mikal Bridges rebound 6 in this game. OG with only 4. Cat, I did not think this was a great rebounding game for Cat. He had 13 rebounds. 4 of them were on the offensive glass. The 4 offensive rebounds obviously were important. Jalen Brunson quietly 4 rebounds, including a massive offensive rebound, which turned into points. Josh Hart, we talked about 11 rebounds, 5 on the offensive glass. Mitchell Robinson, 7 rebounds in 21 minutes, only 1 on the offensive glass, but you know, that's okay. Precious 2 in 5 minutes, and then McBride 2 in 19 minutes. Yeah, I think so. Let me just Mikal Bridges. So Mikal Bridges averaged this season. I want to say he averaged 3-point-something rebounds per game. 3.2. Now his career average is 4. Last season in Brooklyn, he averaged 4.5. The season before that, he averaged 4.4. The season before that, he averaged 4.2. Season before that, he averaged 4.3. So the reason I read off those numbers and why I think those numbers are relevant is because it is very clear to me that at least part of the rebounding, having a little bit left to be desired with Mikal Bridges rebounding this season is probably a little bit based on just like game plan, scheme, personnel, whatever. Obviously, Josh Hart tries to get a ton of rebounds. Karl or whoever the center is gets a ton of rebounds. OG as well. Tibbs always loves his point guards to get rebounds so they can start on the break. So, a lot of that's there. That said, in the playoffs, sometimes you got to come up big for boards. And so first game in Detroit, which I didn't love for Mikal Bridges. I thought it was a quiet game. He only had 2 rebounds. Since then, here's his rebounding stats from game 2 against Detroit. 5 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 4 rebounds, and then 6 rebounds tonight. That is really good. That's really good. That is, I'll do some quick math. I wish I could do 34 divided by 6 in my head. Alas, I can't. It's almost 6. It's going to be 5.6 something. 5.66. There you go. Okay. 5.6 rebounds a game from Mikal Bridges. That works. Thanks, Kento. Yanni, what's going on, Yanni Golan? Is this real? Did we really win? It might be in the Matrix. I got to be honest with you. Wow, they shot it so poorly. This was the game we had to get. Good morning to every Knicks fan out there. Let's go Knicks. It is morning. It is 12:52 a.m. Am I going to sleep tonight? That is a good question. Thank you, Yanni. Zip Davis, what's going, Zip? Let's try it again, Macri. I need a big ol' woo-wee. Is that okay? It's the best I got. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. What are you going to do? Will Oliver injected into my cold, dead veins. That is true for all of us. Thank you, Will. The main connect. Credit to Tibbs for sticking with Towns at the end. I wouldn't have. There is a text chain that will not be mentioned that may or may not have agreed that it should be Deuce at the end instead of Towns up until the 2-minute mark, and then you put Mitch in because Towns had not been playing well. I got to tell you, I think it was for the best that Towns stayed in. Didn't make any blunders late, and made some big important plays. Thanks, Main Connect. Dennis D. Sabata with another one. Thank you, Dennis. The vibes are once again immaculate. Let's go Knicks. Listen, man, the Knicks they've played 8 playoff games. They've won 5. That's pretty good. We're sitting here up 1-0 in the conference semifinals. I know that happened last year and things didn't turn out well for us, but you got to feel good. How do you not feel good right now? You got to feel good about tonight. Have to. Thanks, Dennis. Alan. Hey, John. How about those Knicks? Biggest win of the Brunson era. Let's freaking go. It feels like it right now. It feels like it right now because of the season, because of the pressure on them this season, because of the entire MO of this season is Boston. Boston. Get to Boston. What can you do to beat Boston? Compile the evidence, figure out what changes you need to make in the offseason. But it was always about Boston. And you played Boston tonight, and you were fucking down by 20, and you were on the verge of getting embarrassed. And you found a way to win. It's not easy. It's hard. And they did it. It's got to be. It has to be. It has to be, right? I think it might be. Thank you, Alan. David Futternick, what's going on, David? Paulie Walnuts. Oh, gee. I think I did that right. Oh, gee. No, that wasn't any better. I'm going to keep fucking it up. I'm just going to stop. Another all-timer. The Bridges of Madison Square NTD Garden. All I wanted was a series. We have one. Shouts to Clyde Frazier just because basketball is beautiful. Look, just give me a game 7 in this series. Get me a game 7 in this series, and I promise you I'll be happy. Win or lose, I'm famous last words, but just give me a game 7. Or even, like get me 2-2 after 4. I wouldn't sign for that right now, but like, if you told me they were going to be 2-2 after 4, would I be terribly disappointed? No, I wouldn't. I'd be lying if I said I would be terribly disappointed. I know the vibes are amazing right now, and I'm saying like, yeah, to get 1 out of the next 3, and I'd be okay. Like, this Boston team's so good. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you, David. You're the man. Josh, so focused. Where you been, man? Last one. Okay. I can't believe this team found another way to surprise me. I never expected a sweep, but stealing game 1, amazeballs. Cal beat the Chargers. He did. Yeah, they're full of surprises. They've been full of surprises since Tom Thibodeau took the job. The entire We Here team was a surprise. The entire year that followed the We Here team was a surprise. When they started off 10-13 with Jalen Brunson, it was a surprise. When they came back and they went all the way to the 5th seed after that 10-13 start, it was a surprise. Beating the Cavs was a surprise. Losing to the Heat was kind of a surprise to some. Last year, the OG trade was a surprise. Them surviving the regular season was a surprise. Beating Philly, to some of us, may have been a little bit of a surprise. The fact that this year was such a struggle was a surprise. And then tonight. They are nothing if not unpredictable, Ja. That's their DNA. Maybe that's the identity of this team. Unpredictability. Thanks, Ja. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? OG's leap quietly kind of continued in the Detroit series, along with good, near elite defensive play from Bridges. If that continues, we may actually have a shot. So let's talk. I mean, I agree with you on Bridges. We've already talked about Bridges a lot tonight. Let's talk about the postseason that OG Anunoby has had. Just going to read. It's just counting stats I'm reading off because here's the thing about this dude. The defense has been there, so the counting stats tell you a lot. 19 points. How about this? Wow. By 0.1 points, OG Anunoby is the second leading Knicks scorer in the playoffs. OG Anunoby is averaging 19 points per game in the playoffs. Karl-Anthony Towns is averaging 18.9 points per game in the playoffs. If you would have told me those two things, and you would have told me that the Knicks, I misspoke before. I think I said the wrong amount of losses. I think I said 5-3. They're 5-2. And you would have told me that Karl-Anthony Towns was the Knicks' third leading scorer in the playoffs, and they're 5-2. Maybe I would have believed you, but I would have been like, man, are they just like blowing out teams? The Cat doesn't need to do a lot, and like the threat of Cat is more important than the actual Cat making shots. That's not how it's been. OG has just been a better offensive player in the postseason than Karl-Anthony Towns. And those 19 points have come on 44% shooting with 39.6% from deep, 88% from the line, almost 5 rebounds a game. And then, of course, you got your 2.3 steals and 1.1 blocks. If we go over to our advanced statistics, effective field goal percentage, Karl-Anthony Towns, 54.4, OG Anunoby, 52.9. Those are damn close. Wow. He really has been a better offensive player than Karl-Anthony Towns in the postseason. That's wild. Yeah. Good super chat, Kev. I'm going to think about that one for a while. Benny Bills, what's going on, Benny? First time in a long time. What's up, Benny? How you doing? Let's go, Knicks. Brunson is the king of New York, but Cal is worth all the picks. I'm not saying we will win the series, but now I believe. Everybody has to feel like, hey, man, we're up 1-0. We stole game one in the Boston Garden. We got a shot. Go out and lose game 2 by 8,000 points. We still got a shot. You know? Man, if they made game 2 close, I don't want to say that out loud. Thanks, Benny. Thanks for coming back on board. We appreciate you. David Sancharico, what's going on, David? How are you, my friend? For once, I'd love to not fall behind by 20 points to these assholes, but what a comeback. It's great. Bridges with the game-winning defense is worth another pick swap. Yeah. No, man. Yeah. So the game 3 of the regular season series was like, obviously we're down by 20, whatever. The frustrating part about being down by 20 is in this game was like, it didn't feel anything like when they had gone down by 20 in the first 3 games. It felt what was so dispiriting about it and was so why I was like, oh, they're just better than us. Is because like it was like an overbearing quality to it where the Knicks were out here and they were like, they had this game plan that was different and they were like doing some stuff that was working kind of, sort of, maybe. And offensively, like they were getting some good shots and like, but not great shots. And then it's like, all right, what are we getting out of all of it? We're getting essentially a tie game. Oh, now we got this Mitch foul situation. Oh, now we're down by close to 10. Oh, now we have to play Precious Achua. Oh, now we're down 16 at the half. And then you come out in the third quarter and it's like the Celtics aren't even playing that well. And then Karl does what he does. And it's like, oh my God. Now we're getting the worst of the cat, and now we're down 20. What happened? Like I thought we were playing a decent game, and we're down by 20. What the fuck? We're not in this, like. And then you just get depressed. Yeah, I'd love to not fall behind by 20, and I'd love to not fall behind by 20 in the way that we fell behind by 20. Like if you play like shit and you fall behind by 20, that's one thing. Like tonight was like almost worse. Or you just like don't make shots or whatever, and the other team's like, you know, the Boston's like draining threes, whatever. That happens. But yeah, no, tonight was tough, but look, they pulled it out. So here you go. Thanks, David. Jessica with another one. Thank you, Jess. Nice of Deuce to start the series off strong. McThrees. Now you make me want McDonald's. Talk about irrational. Me wanting McDonald's right now. Oh man, I don't usually like wistfully, you know, think back to my days of college. The one thing that I loved about going to Fordham is they had a White Castle across the street, and obviously White Castle is open 24 hours. What I wouldn't do for a White Castle burger right now. Don't tell my cardiologist I said that. Thanks, Jessica. Kento Cato with another one. Really was more than just Boston missing. It was. It absolutely was. And look, the great Zach Lowe told you that, along with the great DJ Zullo. Active defense, switching, tricking Boston into going ISO mode, Boston will adjust, got to adjust back. And making this win even better is knowing Detroit, Philly, Brooklyn fans are all mad. Well, they could go all fuck off. Yeah, I mean, Boston will adjust. They'll make threes. They'll make more threes. They'll make tough threes. They'll make contested threes. The Knicks will have more botched defensive possessions. Like, Cat will probably get in foul trouble again. Like, yeah, look, it's still very much an uphill battle. The Knicks should not be like favored in the series now, but you have the outline of a blueprint, which is probably more than we could say a few days ago. Like, you have the outline of a blueprint, and I think if you stick with it and you have faith in that blueprint, it will continue to yield dividends at times. And then it comes down to the offense, and ultimately, like, you invested $150 million in your starting five. And if you're going to invest $150 million in your starting five, then your starting five at this time of year is going to need to come through with big time performances, even if it doesn't look pretty. And even if it doesn't emulate the beautiful game, of the San Antonio Spurs or, the Golden State Warriors. Sometimes it's just going to be like, hey, I could get a matchup advantage. I'm going to go take advantage of that matchup advantage, and I'm going to go score a bucket. Or, we got the sliver of space behind the arc. I'm going to put it up. And it's about making more than the other team. It's not going to be pretty right now. It's not designed to be pretty. That's not how the NBA works. Not when you get two heavyweights facing each other at this point in the year. So, they'll make adjustments. The Knicks will make adjustments, but end of the day, you just got to go out there and you got to throw it down and you got to say, listen, your best against my best tonight, albeit barely, the Knicks' best was better. Give them credit for that. Thanks, Kento. Michael Bill DiRicci, thank you for the very generous contribution. I've been losing my mind for 2 hours. Wonderful win, composed and earned it. I love the fact that I don't think anyone else has said that. Sorry, I'm going to read the rest of your super chat in a second. Were they perfect in this game? Certainly not. But even in the starting from the middle of the third quarter onward, were they perfect? No. They were not perfect. I never felt that they lost their composure. There was that one turnover by Brunson late in the fourth quarter where he basically threw the ball out of bounds, and then basically he threw the ball out of bounds. That was the closest they came. And even that, I don't like. I want to go back and rewatch the play. I don't know. I didn't feel like that was a loss of composure possession, but we could agree to disagree there. In any case, great call by you, Michael. Anyway, OG equals Sprewell with the clutch steal and dunk. Well, Charles Sprewell is my favorite Knick ever, so there you go. Outside of Hack-a-Mitch, he hung very tough. Yes. People stopped passing to him. Just put it up. We could win this thing. Yeah. Yes. I think they can win it. Will they win it? We'll see. As far as Mitch, I think other than Towns is always going to be the most fascinating player in the series to me. I think Mitch now suddenly becomes like my second most fascinating player for the Knicks in the series, which I did not expect to say after game one. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the generosity too. Brian Orante, what's going on, Brian? We smoking on that Celtics pack tonight. That's what I could use. A White Castle and a cigarette. My goodness, I just described many a college night for me. And a Natty Light. Thankfully, I've upgraded from the Natty Light. So that's good. Thanks, Brian. Andy Sawicki, 2-0 since layup lines. 2-0 since layup lines. Let's go, Knicks. Yeah, shout out to McCall for coming up with the thing that saved the Knicks season. Thanks, Andy. Ant Rich, what's going on, Ant? Tim's love to say you don't need to shoot well to play well. Well, Bridges proved him right tonight. Also, Hart's finishes looked like the Hart we know and love. He had an extra burst tonight. So, Ant, I'm going to push. I agree with you that Hart's finishes 100% look like more of the Hart we know and love, and that he did have an extra burst. He was all over the floor. That's why I'm going to have, I love all the love Mikal Bridges is getting tonight. The notion that I'm not going to give Josh Hart one of the stars of the game is making me ill. We'll see what I wind up doing. Anyway, the Hart thing. He was such a force offensively for the first couple months of the season, where he was confidently dribbling into hard mid-rangers. Not easy mid-rangers, not mid-rangers where he didn't have anyone near him. Hard mid-rangers, contested mid-rangers. And because he just made so many freaking shots, including from three, where he was a 40% shooter on not terrible volume for the first 2 months of the year, defenses just played him so differently. And then again, we talk about chicken or the egg. I've mentioned chicken or the egg a few times, I think, tonight. Here's a chicken or the egg question. What happened first? Josh Hart started to lose his confidence in his three ball, or teams started to play him to dare him to beat them from outside? And there's a health issue here too, because I don't think he's been fully right, with the knee as the season has gone on. So there's a lot going on here with Hart. Was the version of Hart tonight that we got the apex version of Hart? No, but it was a goddamn good, gritty B+, maybe approaching an A- performance. Speaking of which, I haven't looked at where's Benji. I'm going to pull up Benji's grades. I haven't. Oh, here we go. Hold on. I wonder if Benji did grades tonight. He had to have done grades. Okay. Let's see. We got Brunson with an A-, Anunoby with an A, Brunson with an A-. Okay, that tracks so far. Hart B+, Bridges B-, and then McBride B+, Robinson B-, Achua C, Payne no grade. Yeah, I got to tell you, that's kind of where I'm at as well, with giving Bridges the slightly lower grade than Hart. I think Benji, if he had to redo it, I bet you he'd give Bridges a B, if not a B+. But at the very least, I think it's a tie between Bridges and Hart. Yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Thanks, Ant. Adam Bendet. Great McBride bounce back. Need his punch off the bench to keep pace with Pritchard. I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace with Pritchard. I think Pritchard is just a really, would he have been my sixth man of the year? I had Malik Beasley, but he deserved the award. I don't know that he's the scorer in terms of the different ways that he could score that Ty Jerome is. He's close. He's really good. If McBride could even make it a conversation, that's a big win. Thanks, Adam. Mecky, what's going on, Mecky? I was hoping I'd hear from you. The open looks we got with the eyes emoji. In comparison, that Detroit defense was physical and good. We need to get those rebounds, though. So, yeah, I thought they got good looks all throughout the night. There was a possession there where Brunson, to start the overtime period, Brunson had one decent look from three and then one wide open look from three, and he missed both of them. When that happened, I was like, oh, JB doesn't have anything left. We're going to lose. And then the next time down the floor, Mikal Bridges had a mid-ranger that did not hit the rim. And I was like, oh, we're going to lose. And right after that, he made a spectacular defensive play, and then it led to the OGN one, and it put us up 3, and we never looked back. Thanks, Mecky. Mecky with another one. Celtics have a ton of talent, but they don't play smart. Why not drive in the clutch? Too many threes. It's in their DNA. They believe that eventually the math will work out in their favor. They have believed that for years. That it is in their DNA. It won them an NBA championship. So I think, and I appreciate what you're saying here, and I get it. The only other thing I will say is they did have some drives in some big moments of this game, and they were not able to convert those drives. And I don't think it's a secret to say that the way to beat Boston is to force them into uncomfortable situations. Now, that does not mean take away threes at the expense of wide open layups and dunks, which we have seen at times from the Knicks as they have defended the Celtics pick and roll attack at times this year. But if you take away their wide open kick and shoot threes or pick and pop threes, if you take away those, the ones that they really want to shoot, and you make it like, yeah, you're going to get some threes, but they're not going to be the threes that you really want, or you could drive and you're going to get looks in and around the restricted area, but like there's going to be bodies there, and it's going to have to, like, the Knicks forced them, just like there was nothing easy tonight. That's how you just don't make it easy. That's how you beat them. And the fact that the Knicks did it with the defensive personnel that they have, it's just a testament to them. Look, they'll need to be better, and they'll really need to be better on offense, but it was a good start. Thanks, Mecky. Alex, we built for this shit merch. Alex, can I tell you something? You're not going to believe me. You're not going to believe me. So today I was reading the comments to the newsletter that I wrote, one of the two newsletters I wrote after Detroit Game 6. And I saw your comments, and you were in the comment section basically commenting to every person, we're built for this, we're built for this, or we built for this. And I was going to write you a private message saying I loved that enthusiasm, and I love that that's the line that you chose. And I had such a crazy day, which I'm not going to bore anybody with the details of my crazy day, but I meant to do it like 2 or 3 times where I'm like, oh, I got to message Alex. And then I got distracted because I can't think about anything for more than like 2.5 seconds without losing that thought. But I thought that was awesome. And yes, we should start selling that merch. Thanks, Alex. Sam Thomas, what's going on, Sam? Thank you for the very generous contribution here. I was at the game. I almost died when Jalen missed. I lost my mind when McCall stole the ball. Dapped every Knick fan on the way out. At long last, we see this Knick team. Just want it more. Let's go, Knicks. You deserve the slow clap, my man. You nailed it. It's about time we just see them want it more. Not to say they haven't wanted it in past situations. They have. This team wants it very much. But I love the way you phrased it there. And the fact that you were there and you phrased it that way, I think is incredibly poignant. Yeah, when Jalen missed, I was like, oh, shit. Would have been a different series if he made that. And now he missed it, and they're going to lose. That's what I said to myself. But what the hell do I know? Thankfully. Frank Miranda, what's up, Mag? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Can play the rest of our playoffs in the road. This team is different away from MSG. LOL. Playing, not playing. Playing, not playing. LOL. Yeah. So the Knicks have now won all 4 of their road playoff games. When's the last time how many teams like in recent memory have gone 4 for 4 on the road? I'm sure like there's some like really dominant teams that have done that, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And they've been a good road team for years now, so I'm not surprised. Great job by you pointing it out though, Frank. Thank you. Danny Gardner, what's going on? Danny, great to hear from you. McCall has an incredible knack for making gigantic splash plays in crunch time. He did it with the block against, what was that? The Bulls around the All-Star break, right? Either that or the Hawks game. I think it was the Bulls game. The shot against Portland, clutch plays against San Antonio. It was the Bulls because it was a block on Vooch. Yeah, that's right. Of course. There's been others. There's been the Nets, the block against the Nets, Schroeder trying to win the game there after the Brunson 3. And now tonight, he adds it to the resume. This is part of who he is. This is his DNA. Just an incredible job by him. Incredible job. Thanks, Danny. Oscar with another one. I underestimated how a game won in round 2. What a game won in round 2 could do to my heart. It was the way it unfolded, though. I was so ready for this to be the most ho-hum post game, and then even when they came back and they were tied in the fourth quarter and everything, I was fully preparing for if they lost, for it to still be they're never a ho-hum post games, but I don't know. I was prepared. I was very calm at the moment. I was very calm, and then I think shit hit the fan when they went up by 6. And I was like, oh, okay, now whatever happens, this is an event. Either they win or they lose in a fashion that is not going to be is going to be unacceptable for many reasons. But yeah. Anyway. Thanks, Oscar. Ryan Sartor, what's going on, Ryan? I was at a viewing party at a Knicks bar in Los Angeles, and a few Celtics fans were so annoying. It made the win that much sweeter. Let's fucking go Knicks. Ryan, can we trade places? Don't tell my wife. You know what? I'll give you a John Macri beard and his hat and Knicks Film School sweatshirt. I'm sure you could pass for me for at least a few days. I'll even buy my own airfare. Maybe if you could just point me to a couch. But watching Knicks games in LA sounds positively fucking delightful. So shout out to you. And shout out to everybody you were at the watch party with. Thanks, Ryan. Trying my best. Thoughts on the Celtics rotation if Hauser and KP miss time? Great question. I feel like I so rarely get actual questions on post games. So Horford starts. Pritchard's going to play a ton of minutes. Cornette. They had Cornette and Horford on the floor at the same time. I don't think they loved that, but I think they will do it. So I think Pritchard's obviously going to be your 6th man, and then Cornette probably plays closer to low to mid 20s in terms of minutes. And then hold on. There's a name that I want to say as a guy who would be their 8th man, and I'm not sure how wise that is. Hang on here. So Keita is the guy that I knew was the next guy in minutes, but Keita's a center. So, you could play Keita at the same time as Horford. You could play Cornette at the same time as Horford. Do the Celtics really want to do that, though? I don't know. And so the guy that I was looking at, man, he really just has not played a ton. Shireman's a rookie, right? Yeah. Shireman's a rookie. I don't see that. So the guy that I was looking at is Torrey Craig. And Torrey Craig is a real NBA player. He, if you squint, he could kind of do the things. He got I don't know. So here's my guess. To answer your question, I would guess you're going to get, because there's 3 days. Here's the thing. There's 3 days off between game 2 and 3. So I think you're going to get 25, probably close to 30 minutes of Pritchard, 25 minutes for Cornette, and then maybe he tries to buy like 8 minutes with Torrey Craig. So that gets you up to 60. What did I say? 30, 25. Yeah, let's go 65 minutes for those three guys. And that gets us to 175 minutes for your four starters. Al Horford can't play he just can't play at 10 minutes. You're probably going to max out Al at can Al give you 35 minutes? Probably give you 35 minutes. So let's subtract 35. So that's 140 left. All right. So then you should be fine. That's 35 minutes in a man. So you probably don't even need to push Al that much. I mean, they might be able to get away with a 7-man. I think they play Torrey Craig for 5 minutes in the first half, see how it goes, and then maybe try to buy a couple minutes with him in the second half. Who knows? Who knows how the game goes? Maybe it's a blowout one way or the other. That's my best guess. Thanks, try my best. Good question. Jason Abramson, thank you for the contribution. Appreciate you. Alex with another one. Jonathan Curmudgeon Macri. The disrespect. Incredible. One day I will stop giving you crap about calling McCall soft and comparing him to Fournier. But today is not the day. Alex, you shouldn't be giving me crap. You should be thanking me. I made this happen. I wrote it into existence. That was me. That was reverse jinx at the absolute peak. Come on. Really, Alex? I thought you were better than that. Truly. I could just say anything. I have a microphone. Oh, boy. Jason Kirsch, what's going on? Jason, wow. Never seen a player choke like Cat tonight. Hopefully he can get it together for the series because no one wants to see precious minutes. Like always, control the tempo, control the game. So I look, the third foul on Cat was not a good foul. The fourth foul on Cat was a frustration and maybe even a get me out of the game foul. Like the second foul, there was a lot of talk about should the Knicks have challenged that. I don't know. I thought he had a little stretch in this game where he was actually pretty good. I wasn't going crazy defensively from him in the first half. I thought, look, it was a silly foul, whatever. I thought in the 9 minutes he played, was he great? No, I didn't think he was terrible. It was really just that stretch of the third quarter where I think it got to him. It was 5 or 6 minutes, whatever it was. Let's go 6 minutes. I'm not going to allow that 6 minutes to define Cat. And he cannot let that 6 minutes define him. He's got to be better, and I think he will be better, if only because I don't know that he could be much worse. Thank you, Jason. You know who 97. What's going on? You know who? You know it's a big win when a friend I haven't talked to in over 5 years, no animosity, just life, texts me afterwards in jubilation. Way to show some cojones. MSG is going to be really on fire for Game 3. Yeah. I'm trying to think which friend of mine. I probably have a friend out there who I haven't seen or talked to in a few years that I could see texting me about this. Maybe someone who doesn't know that I've been doing this shit. But yeah, special win. We'll remember this one for a while. You know who. Kevin with another one. In my opinion, the Knicks are daring Jalen specifically to shoot, which is smart. You mean Jaylen Brown? Yes. He was 1 of 9 from deep tonight. That's not great. I don't know that I trust him to go shoot that poorly for the series. He's going to make 1 of 10, excuse me. He's going to make some shots. White will make more than he did tonight. Tatum will make. Everybody's going to make more shots than they did tonight. Even look, we're sitting here praising the Knicks defense. The Celtics are going to shoot better than they did tonight. That's without question. But the Knicks can play better than they did tonight, and we have to trust that they will play better. Thanks, Kev. I do think, though, that he is the guy that they were most comfortable leaving open, but that's always been true. End game. What's going on in game? Say it with me. F Boston. Let's go. You missed a few letters. Fuck Boston. That's it. I am happy that Deuce got out of his funk and was able to go band for band with the 6th man of the year. Great win. Yeah. Good job by Deuce. They don't win it without him. FaZe Vader. What's going on, FaZe Vader? How you doing, man? What's up, John? I know the Celtics missed a historic amount of threes, but the team defense was so solid. Everybody helped to make the shots difficult, and they made some nice ones. Free throw percentage was horrid. Cat is trying. Cat always tries. You never listen. You can't get on Cat for not trying, and I got to tell you, tonight you could not get on him for not defending. Not when it mattered most. When he was in his little run in the third quarter, was there maybe a play or two defensively that left a lot to be desired? Yes. Same thing with the first half. Down the stretch, the man defended. Give him credit for that. Agree with everything else you said. Thanks, FaZe. And another one from FaZe, or Phrase Vader, excuse me. Thank you again. And Hush hit it on the money. Galvanized. There is an official danger sign over our logo. What can be said about McCall? Owns 2 of the biggest defensive plays in games in team history. Let's fucking go Knicks. Fuck out of here. Beantown. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this, I really do I think the Celtics are all going to say the right things, and I think they will go into game 2 confident. I believe that. I'm not saying this. I think they will go into game 2 confident that they have what it takes to win the series and will win the series. It is up to the Knicks to shake their confidence even further. Thank you, Phrase. Phrase with another one. Thank you so much, Phrase Vader. OF&G. Cap. Has Hart locked in? I think yes. Long live KP's immune system. Fragile AF. And F off Reggie Miller. Sorry, kids. I'm amped. You could be amped. I love that you're amped. I love everybody's still amped. I hope you're still amped wherever you are 3 hours and 38 minutes into this postgame. KP. I mean, I don't know how he was feeling. He's an important part of their team. I can't, I'm obviously not rooting for him to make shots in this series or anything. Generally speaking, I don't know that I would say I root for KP. I don't root against him. I think he's made amends for what he did here, and what he did here was not great at times in terms of how it ended, but I also get where he was coming from. It was a messy situation. In any case, injuries and stuff has always been a part of the story of his career. Unfortunate as it may be for him. Thanks, Phrase. Rich McLeod, nights like this are why we do this to ourselves as fans. We will be operating on little sleep tomorrow, and I will have a smile on my face all day long. So tomorrow, I'm supposed to go to work and then take the girls to gymnastics. I will take the girls to gymnastics because my daughters would kill me if they missed it. After that, though, I will probably pass out, which... Thanks, Rich. And yes, I agree with everything you said. Kanishevsky. That's where we are at, where I'm combining first and second names. Kevin Danishevsky. It's the second round versus the Celtics. Best win. Come on. I gave you that. I gave it to you. Second round. Here, you got it. You win, Kev. You got it. Best win of the Tibbs era. I'm not being facetious. It's valid. Pedro Partida, in the case of an Eastern Conference Finals versus the Pacers. Oh my God, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Also, we're not there yet. Wouldn't we be favorites? Also, I'm looking forward to see Precious again in the series just to see her reaction. Yeah, Precious. No. No. Would we be favored against the Pacers? I think Vegas would have us as favorites. I think more NBA people than not would pick. Well, I mean, we got to see how the series turns out, but like, my gut feeling is that more NBA people than not would pick the Pacers to win. That's my gut feeling. Thanks, Pedro. Will Oliver with another one. First time this year we had last year's Hart. Again, I don't like. Will, I'm not trying to give you shit. That first round win, like there were multiple fourth quarter comebacks. Like they played some tough defense at some times when it really counted. Like I get it, and I don't completely disagree with you. I don't want to discount the win that the series they just had. Not to mention like some other very good wins along the regular season, like the Houston win. I know nobody cares now. That Houston win was really gritty. That was a really gritty win. They had a few others, but yeah, this echoed last year's team 100%. Thanks, Will. Brad Shanker, this team found an identity. No one believed in us. Backs against the wall. We will bring our best. For the first time in a while, I'm 100% in. Go Knicks. If all this game accomplished was basically this prevailing sentiment, like I'm in now, that's great. But just like I want everybody to keep the energy like through game 2 and game 3 and game 4. Like the Celtics are going to win games in this series. They might win 4 games in this series. I agree with everybody who are like, yes, we're all in now. Let's do this. Come on. Some people needed this to be all in. I don't begrudge those people. Just let's all keep the same energy. That's all. Thank you, Brad. Emil Beaumontsor, what's going on, Emil? Have to show up after a massive dub. OG, to me, has become untouchable. One thing we barely speak about is his chemistry with Brunson. OG is a star. Well, we appreciate you showing up. Look, Luka Doncic got traded. There's no such thing as an untouchable player in the NBA anymore, other than, I guess, Wemby and Jokic and like SGA right now. Literally outside of those 3 players, anyone could be traded. OG, great chemistry with Brunson. Great chemistry with all of his teammates. I think one subtle bonus thing with OG is like he's played with a lot of different people over the last few years. I think he has really good chemistry with all of them. And you never feel like, like the LeBron James, like fit out, don't fit out, fit in. OG, you never have to worry about him fitting in. So that's great. All right. I think we're done. Only took 3 hours and 45 minutes. What's that? Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Fanatic Sportsbook. They do a great job with everything. Don't forget to take advantage of their giveaway. They're giving away $100 in fan cash. Check our socials for how to enter that. Basically, just tag us and Fanatic Sportsbook on Twitter with a picture of your bet slip for game 2, and then we're giving away $100 in fan cash. As far as this, what we do here at Knicks Film School, if you dig what we have going on, the easiest way you could support us is just to give a little like there, or slam your like button, or caress your like button, or whatever you want to do to your like button, but hit like on the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. subscribe to the podcast. Consider subscribing to our Patreon. My God, the work that Benji Riddles and DJ Zullo are putting out. Again, that's just Patreon. Google Patreon Knicks Film School. You can go right there. I'm going to record a Patreon pod a little bit later this week with, I think, who's up this week? I forget. I think it's DJ. Excited for that. We just got a whole lot of stuff going on. Any way you could support us, and just the biggest thanks in the world. I try to do this every night. I don't do a good enough job of it. But the biggest thanks in the world to everybody who watched tonight, but, in particular, people who contributed super chats. That stuff helps keep us afloat and helps us allows us to do what we do and do what we love doing. And it just, on a night like tonight, you really see this fan base come out in ways that are just above and beyond. And I never cease to be amazed by that. But I was really taken aback tonight, and I appreciate everybody with the contribution. So thank you. Thank you, of course, to Kevin on the 1s and 2s tonight. Thanks for Andrew to showing up for a bit. Thanks to DJ for starting off the monologue with me. And thanks, everybody, for watching another Knicks Film School postgame presented by Fanatic Sportsbook. We will see you with more fun and games very soon. Peace out.